Here.
Hey, I just hit live
No.
anyway, before anything.
So, do you hear me all right this time?
You know, it's still a little quiet, but I definitely listened back to it last time and could hear spots where I was missing hearing you, even though it was, um,
Ah,
um, especially like when I'd like read the side thing and you'd say something, I wouldn't hear some of those, and I just kept charging through, and I know I would have stopped if I'd heard it,
oh,
um,
cool.
but it was plenty loud on YouTube, and it does still sound quiet to me. It's probably these earphones. I gotta go get new earphones, I'm guessing. So, but I'll try to be extra careful to listen closer this time.
I just really need to feel heard and validated, and I didn't feel that last time. So I'd like you to do better.
That's my least favorite words.
Me too. It almost made me
Doing
stop
better.
playing God of War.
Joe can hear it loud and clear. But yeah, I mean, I heard it totally loud last time, and I asked you to turn up to almost kind of overly loud levels to support my bad earphones. They seem fine the rest of the week, but I've noticed like if I'm walking out in the cold, they'll suddenly like disconnect from my phone. They might just be falling apart. So I just got to go get new earphones, even though these are kind of expensive beats. Not the most expensive, but Quaku still has some of my earphones, man. The very first time I went with the Midnight Mormons, I left my earphones there, and they said they'd give them back to me. Still
Oh,
hadn't
you
done it.
went? Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I
way
remember
back.
that. What a bastard. He probably
Go
stole them
get
on
him.
purpose.
Give them a piece of my mind. Today they were just talking about, is BYU woke? And
Yes.
yeah, well, that's what Quick said. And they responded to saying, well, why are they such cowards, all the conservatives and all that stuff? And I just kind of
Oh,
felt
that's their key feature.
yeah. Yeah, they are cowards. Yes, but at the same time too, I don't think if like a bunch of them suddenly got balls, that it would change the universities around right now. You'd have to do like 40 years of the same kind of Stalin-esque infiltration of all levels of bureaucracy. Um, it would take that first for a little bit, or at least 20 years of it. Um,
Yeah.
but what's you gonna do? Flip said he might pop in at 3 in the morning from
Yeah.
England.
That's devotion right there.
I don't know if we'll see that or not, but at the same time, I don't know how he uh, acclimated to that time so fast. Like I would a week or two into it, I'd be normal. I wouldn't be able to switch it up. Kevin said he might pop in. He just got back from visiting his old mission, and other than that, we're just gonna BS and then get the crap out of here. Let's see. You watch any stuff? Play any games this week?
Oof.
You got Berserk on here yet?
I don't think we. I mean, I mentioned it. Um, yeah, I've been
And
consuming. I've been consuming all things Berserk. I watched the whole 97 anime is just on YouTube for free. You can do the sub or the dub, and it's fucking great. I liked it a lot. And then I've even been reading the manga because the anime doesn't cover the whole story. I even watched the movies from 2012, and I'm even going to watch the shitty remake from 2016 that everybody says sucks.
Yeah. I guess I got to check that one out. But well, I am going to check it out because you recommended it and you said there's different movies of it. But I don't know if I'll read it or not. Is it kind of hard to get a hold of all the? It's probably like a lot of comics, right?
Oh, I'm just reading it online.
Oh, gotcha. Just getting PDFs and stuff.
Yeah, there's a couple places you can read mangas, but don't get viruses.
What's this Alan Wake 2? Alan Wake 2 has me hooked and everyone should play it. I haven't even heard of it. Like, except
Yeah,
for
I've
last time.
heard of it, but
What is
yeah,
it?
I don't know. A lot of people have been saying that it's pretty good. I haven't even touched it. People have been geeking out about that just about as much as they have Baldur's Gate. I hear those are both really good.
A lot of people I see right off the bat, all the reviews are saying it's impressive. What is it? Like, what kind of game is it?
I don't even know. I haven't played the first one.
I heard there's an Alex Jones game out now.
An Alex Jones game?
Yeah. Should we?
Here, InfoWars is probably going to go under soon.
Really? What? Just money wise? Because all that they've had to pay?
Yeah, I watched some. There was Mark Dice talking about it because he's pals with Alex Jones. He said he talked to him personally, and Alex Jones says that they're probably not going to have the funding to go on because they're bankrupt, and the only reason they've gone on this long is because some Bitcoin billionaire, like, anonymously gave them $8 million or something.
The Alex Jones. So he says it's a psychedelic survival horror game, and Alex Jones is also psychedelic survival. It looks like it's real. Let's see here.
I bet they turned you into a gay frog or something like that. I don't know.
Hilarious names. And the website is unbelievable too. So hold on a second.
They're turning the friggin' frogs gay. I'll eat your ass.
Isn't that George Soros?
Let's free the patriots and defeat the globalist tech.
I mean, like,
We are going to defeat the globalists very bigly.
Oh, and there's
Trump next to him.
This game is mostly peaceful.
Oh, he's actually promoting it. Another indie.
I'm going to lower the world's population.
Bill Gates.
Big Bill Clinton in here.
No had sexual relations with that saxophone. Download it now at alexjonesgame.com because, as we all know, anything badass gets censored.
I love it. I love it.
Well, I want
I'm gonna play the shit out of it.
You think that's on the Switch?
Oh hell no! I wish it were.
On stream or whatever.
That's insane. He has so many perfect sound bites that it surprised he's the one. I thought it was going to be somebody fucking with him making it.
That's awesome. I want that game now.
I know.
So I watch, being the bozo that I am, just like you're watching Berserker. Sometimes if a game sounds sufficiently cool, but I don't want to play it, I'll watch it through. Like I watched all those Little Nightmare games.
You want to know why that is? It's because you're not the oldest.
The only others watch it. Yeah.
No, I figured that out. I've like my wife has told me before, like, oh, sometimes I just like watching you play games. Like, are you mental or something? That sounds insane. But then
I only watch it if it's a story. I'm not gonna watch like.
No, I know. I get what you're saying. But I'm like my siblings all kind of said the same thing because growing up, they obviously. I'm like 3.5 years older than my second brother, and so I knew how to. That's a big gap when you're that age. Like right now, he's just as good at games as I am, but back then I was way better because I was older, and so they wouldn't even want to play it because I could do it better, and so yeah.
A game like Alan Wake 2. Which do I have to watch Alan Wake 1 to get Alan Wake 2? Like Silent Hill, I'll watch Silent Hill games because some of it I don't have like the PS5 and all that stuff. I wouldn't watch the Harry Potter. I'd rather play that one as soon as I get a chance.
Yeah, I'd say the Harry Potter one is not. It wouldn't be as fun to watch. It's mostly getting immersed in the world that's fun with that one.
The Little Nightmares one is kind of more like a Mario style playthrough, but it was just so. Have you watched that at all?
The what?
Little Nightmares.
No.
It's such a cool looking little game. It's like Mario, except they actually kind of like put in this kind of like horror-ish look to it and this feeling. And he says, "Don't be lame. I should play it."
Yeah.
I'd love to. I mean, I said last year when Troy was on here, he was saying like, go play the Harry Potter. And I went out like 3 weekends in a row looking for a PS5 and couldn't find one.
You get an Xbox. I think they're easier.
Wow.
I'm a PlayStation guy, but
Control.
But the Xbox
didn't Xbox go under or something?
Oh no, Xbox is, as far as game selection goes, it's starting to kick Sony's ass.
What's up, Jane? Flip says he's going to try to pop in, but it's 3 a.m. where he's at. He's still there till Sunday. He sent us pictures in front of the Beatles' houses.
Yeah.
And noticed that John Lennon's house was the rich house again. The rich kid to become the socialist. Like,
yeah, if John Lennon were around right now, he'd be standing in a freeway protesting climate And he would have taken a jet to get there.
Yeah. Joe says Xbox all day. I've liked some Xbox in the past. I don't love the controllers, but I've actually never really kind of owned that one. But I heard there was something going down about like their online service or something.
Oh, I don't
played
know.
Mario Wonder. I'm almost done with Mario Wonder, and I thought that was almost kind of like a good throwback to Super Mario.
It's a
Super
fucking
Nintendo.
fever dream, man.
Yeah, it's a fever dream, and it's got all sorts of. It's Bill Real would love it.
Oh yeah,
It promotes hallucinogenics and taking hallucinogenic.
oh, it's
every
fun.
day.
See, you were probably like Halo was exactly my time. Like that was us. We grew up with that, so that's why we all love Xbox. I'm more of a PlayStation guy. I like the controller better. But I mean,
I
the
was never
Xbox
good at
controller-
first-person shooters. That's
Oh.
never been my thing.
See, the thing is though, Xbox bought Bethesda like right as Star Citizen was set to come out. So now I don't get to play Star Citizen, or sorry, Starfield, which made me mad because as buggy and weird as they are, I like those Fallout and Elder Scrolls games, and this is Elder Scrolls in space.
Yeah. Although I saw some of that kind of gets auto-generated like that other outer space game that was supposedly unlimited.
Oh yeah, it was.
You realize it's an auto-generating boringness.
So it was No Man's Sky, and I remember being
Yeah.
really excited about that one, and I bought it when it came out, and it was so like I got bored with it in an hour. I'm not even kidding you; it sucked. I've heard that update,
better, but still has the same issue a little.
well, everybody says it's great now, and I never went back to it.
Oh yeah, the No Man's Sky got updated a whole bunch. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mario Wonder is awesome. Like I think you could kind of, if you ever played Super Nintendo Mario or Mario 3, like when I was a kid and me and my buddy would restart it again every day playing it 2-player, and we'd get kind of like masters at the first couple levels of it and then always get sucky at the later levels. But I think it does almost kind of have a feeling like you could beat it in one sitting, which is kind of nice. It's probably not that fast, but I think they kind of intentionally made it feel that way so it could feel like old school Mario a little bit. Like it's not meant to be some 10-day super adventure. It's supposed to be like play it again.
Yeah. As far as I can tell, there's never really been a bad mainline Mario game. Like Nintendo, they're assholes with their intellectual property. Like they'll sue you if you, I don't know, paint a picture of Link on your wall or something like that. But their games they're always great and they're always finished. There's I don't know that I've ever ran into a bug on a Zelda game.
It's super well done, and then I also kind of like that it's short. Like it's intentionally short.
Well, and Mario was great. Mario was the first one to make the jump. Like it was one of the first ones to make the jump from the 2D platformer to the 3D platformer, and they fucking nailed it on the first try. That Mario 64 is awesome, and that same control scheme is still around for the new Mario games. They're great.
So I made a post in Thoughtful Saints just like an hour ago.
How did you know?
Into wacky doodah stuff, but it was posting off of Have you seen any of the drama going on? I made it in the thumbnail, but the drama going on about autogynephilia in Heather Hang was talking about it again a bit. There was some convention in Denver about 2 weeks ago. I forget what it's called. It was like Gen something. And the whole thing was a convention for people kind of examining detransitioners. So it's a bunch of the people who were, open to the world of let's get people unmedicalized. So it wasn't that type of ideologue. But then they had a major drama fest because there's a bunch of Terfs there, right? Like real deal Terfs. Like Terfs who call themselves Marxists, and we have receipts for all that sorts of stuff, but they're anti-medicalization. And then this guy who is an autogynephile, which he claims, and other people might too, that most trans men are autogynephiles. That's actually a fetish, right? Yeah. And
well, you can go to the trans subreddit. And like half of them are like, how come I get a boner every time I wear panties? And they're all like, well, it's a euphoria boner. And the way they describe it is effectively the same thing as autogynephilia. autogynephilia, but without using that word. It's always just like, no, that means you're affirming your gender. And I'm like, I don't look, every time I feel happy in my skin, I don't get a boner.
Yeah, exactly. But the deal is this guy he's autistic. Imagine that.
Yeah.
But he's very, very honest about it. Like he's not for transition, although he says he might be for a younger person if it were him when he was younger before, but he wouldn't do it nowadays. He's not. I'm not saying like he's perfectly sensible, but he's honest that when he started reading about he didn't know he was an autogynephile till he started reading about it, and then when he read about it, he goes, "Yeah, that's me." He just was honest about it. He says most trans guys just don't quite know that they are yet, and he wrote an entire book about it, and that's one of the reasons he was there. Anyway, he showed up in a dress at this thing. This is the post I made. He showed up in a dress, and a bunch of the Terfs said, "That's technically you showing up in your erotic
bondage gear." Yeah, it's kind of weird, I guess. Where he's like, I get a boner when I wear a thong, and he shows up in a thong, and you're like, why are you wearing the thing that gives you boners in public, man?
Yeah, so it set people off onto like all different sides of like trying to consider it. And I noticed recently on Thoughtful Faith, Jacob making claims, and some of those typical he's got a few kind of lefty ladies in there who are just kind of constantly ready to give him crap.
Bonnie.
Yeah, Bonnie and what's the other Jessica, something like that.
Yeah, I don't remember.
But they were coming after him for him saying that all clothing is sexual signaling in some sort of way. But then if you look at it, if you see like here in my post, I describe what's going on with the thing, but I say it brings up the questions about what's orientation, what's fetish, what's paraphilia. Are the lines crossed in thought or only in action? Are others responsible for the arousal levels of others, whether that arousal is sexual or disgust? How can declared feminists run the gambit from demanding the world see any human presentation completely divorced from sex unless enthusiastically consented to, no matter how lewd, all the way to practically demanding and then all the way to practically demanding that we all wear burqas? Why is this all something religion gets sneered at for confusing when the secular world gets farther and farther from answers rather than closer over time? These two have a debate, and this is a gay guy, and this is well after. So that there's like 2 weeks of the Terfs coming after this guy saying that you brought your erotica to our convention, right?
Well, so okay, I guess it's kind of weird. Like if you say it like that, like this thing gives you a boner, but also, like I don't know, what if wearing a turtleneck I find erotic? I mean,
it's a question. Like
you kind of gotta like just be reasonable. Because
we know that, like, for a lot of people, just the talking on the phone, what is that?
Oh yeah, the ASMR, yeah.
ASMR.
Well, what are they? I bet one of them called it basically sexual assault, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, because feminists are always just completely, they reach for the very top shelf immediately with their words. That's a sexual assault. Like, what word are we gonna have left when somebody actually gets raped? If you say a guy having a boner in public is sexual assault.
Mm-hmm. And you're foretelling some of the extra drama that happened with this.
Joy.
Because
I wish I wasn't so damn smart.
this person, they were going after him for like 2 weeks on Twitter. And then at some point in the middle of it, it came up between, do you know who Kelly J is? She goes kind of by Parker Posey sometimes.
Posey Parker, yeah.
Posey Parker. She was in the she went to the UK and Australia to have a bunch of events, and those events got
milkshake and
she's actually just on Peter Boghossian's podcast this week. Well, her and James Lindsay got into it.
Did she go nuts?
Well, she still holds on to her radical feminist ideals, and they got into a huge debate on if the feminist theorists led to the trans movement, or if it has nothing to do with it.
Ooh.
James Lindsay said, "You don't want to have this fight with me." And then she amplified that as violence. You predicted the word.
Oh
saying,
God, she called it violence.
Yeah.
Oh, fucking
Some of the other
what a
radical feminists.
fucking pussy. See, there's my egalitarianism. If a man did that, I call him a pussy. So you did it, I call you a pussy. But that's disappointing because I always enjoy her debates because she just doesn't cede any ground on this. She's just like, no, it's insane. You're pretending that man is a woman. He's a man. I can tell it. You're trying to make obvious things not obvious.
Yeah. So then there's been a back and forth for weeks, like those radical feminists saying, no, all of transgenderism comes from John Money, which is a male forcing the maleness into the woman world.
Patriarchy.
We're saying, no, it started with Judith Butler. It started with Simone de Beauvoir, who said, a woman isn't born a woman, she becomes a woman.
It's like people trying to argue whether Nazism is right or left wing, and I'm like, listen, guys, all of them, all of them can have really retarded ideas.
Yeah, but James Lindsay holds to like all of the queer thing. I don't think this is true. If like you get to where people are really theorizing it out, all the way down to queer theory, it stemmed off of the start of feminism, all the way down to where it started getting to that. But these guys point out John Money was way forever ago, and his was just. He separated the idea of gender and that stuff first. But they point to the theorists who now bring it to all the colleges. They weren't looking at John Money. They were looking at Simone de Beauvoir and Judith Butler. And so maybe the answer really is it's kind of both of them. But
is Judith Butler not a feminist?
Yeah,
I know she's like a queer theorist first, but she's definitely a feminist.
The feminist theorists are trying to say she's only a feminist and she didn't move to trans stuff at all.
What? Judith Butler talked about fucking cat gender way before it was cool.
This stuff at all. They're trying to hold on to Judith as only a feminist, and they try to hold on to Simone de Beauvoir. So these rad femmes are trying to hold on to Dworkin, de Beauvoir. They want to hold on to that world, and it ended up being just this huge, wild fight.
I don't blame him, I guess, because watching your heroes go insane. I think everybody that I like is going fucking insane right now.
Yeah.
All of them. So yeah, Kellyanne Conway, or whatever her name is, Posey Parker. I like her. I like listening to her stuff, but calling it violence and patriarchal influence that some dude wore a dress. I'm like, don't call it. You're being them. Okay. Never complain about the woke again because you are them. You got Ben Shapiro losing his shit about how you're either with us or against us.
Yeah,
and like that thing with the Candace Owens thing, he totally read himself into that. Like she wasn't even talking about him.
Mm-hmm.
She just said, "Oh man, I don't like it when Palestinians are bombed." And you're talking about us. I know you're talking about us. And if you don't want to be here, then you can just quit.
That's what's been blowing my mind is like ever since October 7th, like across the board, there's been like it shook stuff up so much that it's almost only causing infighting, whether it's Hasan and those guys or the radical left in universities or Candace and Ben or, now these feminists. And not that that's tied to that, but it's a little bit of the same thing. It's like you got friendly fire going on everywhere. And Charlie's got home. This is him pointing to the origination of it with Simone de Beauvoir, but he's also talking about their Gnostic beliefs and getting back to the Gnostic stuff, not to go into super detail about it, but he has this thing where he kind of just explains how it's all Gnosticism. And there was this moment where Benjamin Boyce was asking the people, okay, so what sort of rule should we put in the convention saying that an autogynephile can't show up in a dress? And what do you think they're like? Put your radical feminist hat on.
Like, it should never be allowed.
Not quite.
It's
how dare you assume you have to ask us to police the place?
Christ.
It's only the male egocentric world that thinks that you should just not want to be there in the dress.
This is the most woman fucking thing I've ever heard. Like, you guys are feminists and you are playing into the most disgusting female stereotype. And they're like, I don't like him wearing a dress. And he's like, okay, well, what should the rules be on him wearing a dress? How dare you ask me that?
How dare you presume that it is up to us to police the boundaries or police you out of the female spaces with your,
What do you need, a big, strong man to do it for you?
So that's kind of like one of the points that James Lindsay's like always making to people, is that that's where it gets Gnostic, is like, you don't think you got to deal with the world as it is. You think that you should be waving some wand and suddenly everybody thinks differently how you assume they should be thinking.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see. Troy popped in here. It says Game Award nominations this past week, 31 categories. Hogwarts Legacy nominated. What, in 0 of them?
Yeah, none of them. Absolutely. I saw that.
What? I was dead seriously waiting for that sentence to finish of saying like 10 of them or something like that.
I mean, that's like suicide. I mean, social suicide. The world doesn't really care. These people are in such a weird little bubble, I think, that they assume that the entire world is represented by their bubble. And so they get really confused when the world doesn't actually react that way. Because people in the bubble really thought when Hogwarts Legacy came out that it would be boycotted, that would be successful. But the world at large loves Harry Potter. They love games. And so they purchased it. And these people are actually pretty shocked, it seemed like. I think that it makes me think of Marcy Bauer, the doctor, the transgender gender reassignment doctor, did the surgery on Jazz Jennings. She was on that Matt Walsh documentary, and Matt Walsh asked her, like, do you think that do you think there's anybody that thinks that maybe a woman is just like a female? And he told him, he's like, oh, I mean, like maybe a few dinosaurs or whatever. And I'm like, oh, you actually believe that? Like, I think you actually believe that. I think you're surrounded by so many people that affirm this insanity to you that you actually believe the whole world is represented in your weird little bubble. And you're shocked if you find out. No, most people actually think that male and female are two separate categories, and they're pretty easily definable.
Yeah. What the fuck are we talking about? That sucks, Troy. That's a bunch of bullshit. That's absolutely. But awards. We just saw that Dan McCain got an award of Best Public Intellectual this week, and the New York Times got all those Peabodys. And what do awards mean anymore? Except you, just like Jared said, you agreed with the bubble. That's all any award says out there anymore. I'm so buzzed. But what the fuck is this? Yeah, we are talking about, I mean, the strange thing is like all that infighting is happening at a convention that is totally open and looking at stopping medicalizing kids. And then all that drama still happens. And it got kind of wild. Who's to say what to say? Quid pro quo, man. I'm surprised at how much anti-Semitism is in the trad Catholic world. Does a similar thing exist in the Mormon world? Anti-Semitism. I mean, Mormons are pretty pro. Like, Kara's Nuance host stuff. She's trying to make an argument that they're all Zionists.
I don't know that they're. I mean, I don't know. It's hard to say. Mormons, I'd say there's probably less anti-Semitism than your average religion. Part of that is because they almost buy into the Jews being the chosen people of God more than your traditional Christians. Because like traditional Christians are like, well, it was the Jews, and then they forsook him, and now it's whoever follows him. And Mormons pretty much believe that, but they also, anytime we get our patriarchal blessing, we get assigned. We basically get adopted into a house of Israel, and so we're like adopted Jews, basically. Yeah. So, and it's kind of written into the doctrine to not be anti-Semitic. And most Mormons I know are pretty firmly gargling Israel's ball bag on this one.
Well, you have those dispensationalists in the Christian world who kind of thinks like all the end times revolve around the Jews and their stuff, that all Oscar church and all that sorts of deal. But the Mormons aren't far off from that, and that's what Nuance Ho will claim, that those Meldrum guys and all that stuff are basically Zionists themselves because they expect all that end of the world stuff to happen through the Jews, just the same with apocalyptic battling. But yeah, I don't know. The Catholic world, I definitely see people in that being questioning, which is, speaking of Candace Owens, I mean, you have Matt Walsh kind of daring to speak up against Nikki Haley and
Nikki Haley is fucking absurd. Like whenever this Israel-Palestine debate comes in, I try to be pretty nuanced, right? I definitely come down like on the side, I think Israel's obviously better. It's a lot more Western and stuff like that, but nobody's hands are clean in this. But Nikki Haley is fucking insane with it.
Yeah.
Like, and all of them are like that. All the kind of establishment GOP people, they're just like, oh man, Israel doesn't need America. America needs Israel. Like, what fucking world do you live in?
Yeah. This is a bunch of stuff, like just a bunch of people proving that the feminists, started and initiated the separation between the gender and the sex stuff that really started with Simone de Beauvoir. But I mean, I think John Money kind of did that separately too. So I think it's almost kind of like what is that called when you have two different starting threads of a thing? Like,
well, it's like that Reddit thing that I think I shared it to the group where the guy was talking about how excited he was to get into Buddhism because he grew up Christian, and then he goes over to I don't know, China or some largely Buddhist community and is just pissed off about how it just feels like religion to him. And I'm like, yeah, you don't think that two different strands of humanity could come up with the same idea? Like, even if it's a good idea or a stupid idea, several different strands of humanity could come up with feminism. So
this is the sides of it. It says queer theory and trans ideology are late stage feminism. Changed my mind. And I think that's true if you follow the genealogy of academic writing.
Oh, absolutely.
Whereas John Money's kind of was trying to be medical, bad medical experiments.
I think John Money just wanted to diddle kids.
Yeah. Put another way, feminism was the midwife to queer theory and trans ideology. So I think that's like putting it into those magical words that must be academic, that all kids must learn and all colleges, everybody must learn nowadays. And then this person responds, no, male sexual fantasy birthed trans ideology. Some women then decided it was a left-wing civil rights issue and supported it. I don't think that's right either, because that wouldn't, I mean, you could say John Money in its own way was them doing it and the males trying to get into it or something like that, but that also discounts a bunch of female were trans people, especially in a bunch of the trans literature. But
sure.
And the feminists don't want to acknowledge that. But it leaves aside that there's just droves and droves and droves of writings on this from the goobers. Oh, look at this.
Oh, Christ.
Girl describes what it was like to have sex with her dad, and they call it genetic sexual attraction.
Oh, Christ. Dude, every like passing year, the whole what are we gonna lead to, like fucking animals thing, it gets more and more like true. Stop making the early 2000s Christian fundamentalists right. You understand what you're doing? They were like, what are you gonna do? Let us have sex with dogs? And you're like, no, that's absurd. Well, we'll wait 20 years for that.
A little bit of that debate with Benjamin that I showed and shared in Thoughtful Faith is about the concept of the other guy is just like a gay guy, and he wants to boot out the autogynephile because he says yours is just a fetish and mine's an orientation. And the autogynephile says no, mine's an orientation. But then the autogynephile starts like going down the list and starts saying, well, it's technically an orientation too if you're minor attracted or if you're a zoophilia or whatever.
Look, man, it's clearly a fetish if it gives you a boner. But like, I don't know that it matters all that much to define it, because really it's not how we define these things, right? Because autogynephilia is a fetish, I would say. Pedophilia would probably also be considered a fetish. Whatever like turns you on sexually, both of those things, fetishes. But it's not what you it's not the word you use to define them that causes them to be right or wrong or legal or illegal. It's like a founding principle of, okay, is this going to hurt people, right? And I would say the guy wearing a dress, no, it doesn't hurt anybody. and I don't want to stop him, but obviously pedophilia, you need a guiding principle is what I'm saying. So we're getting caught up in definitions when we don't need to be.
But you can definitely get all platonic questioning about that too, of like, when's it become fetish? When's that one's the cutoff? And now, we should have cut it off at the gay, but now we're cut it off at the animal, and now we cut it off at the family member. Now we cut it off at,
No, I get it. We all have a little Socrates in our head, and we all every now and then need to tell him to shut the fuck up. There's a good time for Socrates. It really is. I'm sure there is, and I'm not sure where it is. I'm just sure there's a good time for him, and I'm gonna figure it out, and I'm gonna talk about it at some point. But it's the good time for Socrates is not trying to figure out the age of consent. Like, you know what? We feel like 18 is a pretty good age, and if we ever have evidence that it should be a little bit later than that, then we'll go with that. We're not going any younger than that. We don't care if you say, well, what if she's like a day before 18? No, you know what? Some things need to be arbitrary. They need to be far enough from the gray area that they're just definitively okay.
Yeah.
And also, then we need to leave the people alone that wait for it to be outside the gray area. Like, I think it's probably sleazy when Leo DiCaprio only dates 19-year-old women. Like, that's fucking weird to me. But maybe leave him alone, because at least he's not on Epstein Island. He's doing the thing we've all agreed is technically okay. Just let him do that and be like, oh, that guy's gross. And yeah.
Yeah, so James made this post, which I wanted to highlight because it was a really good post, because everything from Rousseau, and you might have heard over the years people talk about Rousseau through Hegel through Marx. It all really started with Rousseau, and they've all been kind of just different versions of Rousseau, which people then say were just different versions of Hegel. But I think this little summation, it also kind of surmises why it's kind of a Gnosticism, and a small g Gnosticism. We're not talking about like the big, some religion that's filled in all the concepts for all the different little things. It's just talking about that same question that those feminists have of like, why do we have to deal with the world as it is and tell the man that he shouldn't do that because there's going to be a man who wants to do that? The world should just change the man's desires somehow, I guess, by screaming at the heavens. And the man should change. Humans should change. And I think James trying to describe kind of how these weird separations, a little bit like the separation of gender and sex, or the separation of people and their actual sexual desires and what they should be sexually desirous of, the idealism, how he almost kind of gives a summation of the entirety of Western philosophy right here by trying to describe why it's that feminism or that line of philosophy that engenders it. So he says, Rousseau, it started with Rousseau, man is born free, but everywhere is in chains. Marx, man is born free, but everywhere jobs. Feminist, woman is born free, but everywhere men. CRT, people of color are born free, like Rousseau said, but everywhere there's white people.
White people.
Queers are born free, but everywhere normality. Kant, man is born free, but everywhere reason. Nietzsche, man is born free, but everywhere morals. And I think that really is like you can. That's such a good summation of Nietzsche. It's such a good summation of Kant. It's such a good summation of Rousseau. It's just, and it's such a good summation of how it's this. What he's been saying, that it's this weird Gnosticism. Like, the philosophy is not this hard reason that people think it is. It's actually kind of this weird religion that we should be free, and the way we get free is by undoing everything that's normal or natural about us and becoming this other idealized thing by, I don't know, voila. I don't know, like how does it happen?
I don't know a ton of philosophers, but I feel kind of the same way. The way I feel about Nietzsche is just about the same way I feel about Kant, which is just about the same way I feel about Ayn Rand. And like, all three of them feel like they had just one thing they thought would solve all of the things. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, man, you're really smart. Like, I'll catch shit for it, but I think Ayn Rand is really, really smart. I think she has a lot of really cool things to say. And then she thinks that everything is selfish, and anything pursued in the case of self-interest is moral. And I'm like, okay, but like, what about this thing? Because I feel like maybe your answer doesn't fit with 100% of everything, and you're trying to pretend that it does. And so she'll try to explain to you, and she jumps through mental hoops to explain why, like, dying for your child is actually a selfish act. Like, I don't know how, like, and she's an atheist, so I don't know how in an atheistic worldview, you could possibly imagine that dying is ever a selfish act. And she would, try to explain to you that, well, it's, you would rather live, you would rather die a hero than remain on Earth a coward, or something like that. But Kant seems to think the same thing with honesty. Nietzsche seems to think the same thing with just, I don't know, fucking power or whatever. But I think all these people have great things to say, but they just kind of, they go insane trying to look for a one size fits all. I don't know.
I remember there's this story forever ago on Radiolab. It's called The Good Show, and it asks, is altruism just an aberration? And they talk about this guy who logically did that Ayn Rand thing and thought there was no such thing as altruism because you could always like tie anything back to a self-interest no matter what. And so to try to undo it, the guy went and basically committed suicide by giving away everything, and did kill himself by giving away everything until he killed himself.
See, the reason that Ayn Rand appealed to me like 10 years ago is because I grew up with that insane rabid altruism. I seriously had that thought process that I have to do things completely devoid of self-interest, right? And so I was like, okay, I have to, like, I don't know, maybe be poor, or I have to sacrifice for other people. And no matter what it was, you can always sort of tie something to a self-interest. You can say, okay, yeah, you're doing all these things, but you're doing it to know that you're a moral person. Therefore, it's in your self-interest. So she's right in that regard.
Yeah.
But it feels meaningless.
Yeah. So, I mean, but most of that philosophy stuff is like this weird thing of, it's almost kind of like hero's journey. You know how we talked about in all of like modern day movies, the hero's journey is you're already great. You just got to stop the things that are repressing you. That's kind of like what everything that's been since Rousseau, ever since, is like, you got to get back to what's the natural man, the thing that's already good, the thing that's already great, your essence underneath everything. But the world's stopping. The world's got to change, man. And that's where the essence of leftism or leftist philosophy comes from, is the world's got to change, not you got to change. You're already perfect. The world's got to change to your already perfectness, or accept that whatever seems weird about you is actually goodness. It was funny because James got just all those rad feminists. They just went at, like, his Twitter just blew up. He almost like can't read it right now because it's just like happens. And that's him. And then he got kicked off of Twitter because he, this is the old female thing, internet female opinions. He put it back, help misogyny, and they of course got called misogynist 1,000 times for pointing out. So then he got back on Twitter and called him, put these like hags mad. Anyway, in the midst of all this, and I know this, I told you about, like, there's some people near me. There's a musician near me who's getting the Woman of the Year Musician Award, and there was never been this award before. But
show her to us. I bet she's really fucking hot.
Oh, I showed it to you, and I'm not going to show it because it's kind of too local and close to me, and we're playing the shows and shit. But it's not a mean person, but not a woman. And
what do you mean?
The highest paid female CEO in America. It used to be a man.
No shit.
Yeah, there's so much of it. A trans-identified male who posts about his fetishes online has been given an Irish LGBTQ plus sports award for playing in a Gaelic football match against young women and teen girls. It's like, even if this stuff was they were just kind of like letting it seep in, and they were just doing it here and there kind of quietly, but no, they've got to also raise it. It's Transgender Awareness Week, and they're raising like the transgender flag here in Salt Lake. They've also got to like raise it and like rub your nose in it as hard as they possibly can on stuff. There was another one somewhere. A female boxer withdrew from a championship in Quebec, Canada, after she learned the fight was a trans-identified male. She didn't know until about 15 minutes before the match.
Oh, fuck.
Look at this.
I saw that.
The woke women.
Hell yeah. Did you see the pool one?
What?
The lady she was playing in a female pool tournament.
Oh yeah, she refused to play.
She just fucking walked off. I was like, that's exactly what you do. It's bad. And then they showed a picture of the female winner with the trophy, and you're like, that's perfect. That's so fucking awesome that she walked, because now everybody knows that trophy is meaningless.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
It's not transphobic to question endometriosis charity's new CEO, who is endometriosis CEO. He's a trans man, like, oh. But what you can do? Speaking of transes and the trans mans, did anybody here see Matt Dillahunty Rage Quit?
That was amazing. That dude was a dick. It was amazing.
I had no idea about this, and I kind of don't know why I didn't know about this. But I mean, maybe I'll let it like
Well, you found out about it just like a day or two after it happened, but they just had DebateCon recently, and this dude, I went back and watched a couple of his debates, and he's very, very Christian, you know. But there's been a couple of debates he's had like with his wife. I was like, oh my God, that's just like, I hate to use Instagram language, but like fucking relationship goals, man. They're like debating trans shit with your wife. I can't think it feels like a there's this great moment in Berserk again where Guts, the main character, is talking about how great Casca, the main female, is, and it's like, yeah, it's great to have a woman who has your back, and it flashes back to them like back to back, and there's like a wall of soldiers between them, and I'm like, that's what I pictured. This dude and his wife are debating trans shit with these online dipshits.
Who's to say what's the same, man? I can build a good house with a few scraps of Buddhism and narrow empiricism for the evolutionary continuance of our species. I'm kind of glad these philosophers focus on one thing, because they give us their best arguments for that thing. Then we can compare it to other ideas and try to put it together ourselves. Like Charles Wagner says, I'd rather have a big, strong argument for one idea than several weak arguments for lots of things. Hope that makes sense. Yes, for sure. Till you have kids. Troy says cafeteria philosophy is the way to go. Take a little of the best stuff from everywhere. I totally like that too. I've mentioned to people a lot before, like in the philosophy, there's something called like a Straussian reading. That a Straussian reading, and that was a right-wing philosopher too. He was a philosopher, but he also did a lot of compilations of what other philosophers said. And a Straussian reading means anybody who's reached that level of top philosopher, you take it as if you are reading scripture. Even if you think they're idiots or whatever, you take, like, they got to that level, you got to read this seriously and honestly.
They have a PhD.
Yeah. Then I think there's a Nietzschean reading, which is Nietzsche didn't read anything that doesn't say, what's this asshole on about? You know, that's how Nietzsche wrote anything, you know. But I definitely do read philosophy like a Nietzsche, just in the sense of I start from like, what's this asshole saying? Like, I for sure start from that. And I for sure kind of pump through it fast, like faster than, like, I made a joke on it before. Like, I've read everything Nietzsche's ever written. Does that make me Nietzsche expert? No. I mean, were you an expert because you pumped through the Bible once?
No, dude, I started Beyond Good and Evil the other day, and I was like, and I realized it's something you got to really pay attention to, because I was playing a game, and I was like, what the is this guy saying fucking words right now?
It starts, the things with most philosophies, like the more you read it and the more you read the other stuff, it starts coming together, and you know, but it's almost all interconnected. Like, you have to know who he's shitting on at any given moment, you know. And it's kind of like how we're talking here. If Nietzsche suddenly dropped in this conversation and we're like, we're making some points, like, you know, somebody was talking to me, like, you know, talking about people all the time isn't necessarily the smartest thing. You should talk about ideas, but usually we're pointing at the ideas through people who are fighting about these ideas out in the world. But if Nietzsche popped in, he wouldn't know that we're talking about James Lindsay and who these trans, you know, poker parties and who's Matt Dillahunty. But the problem is, like, when you read Nietzsche, you kind of got to pick up on him doing that.
Oh yeah.
He's talking about this guy and that guy and what their kind of general way of being is. Like,
No, I know. I'm
Dillahunty
like,
shit that he's a little bit like Hegel, that Schopenhauer, that Hegel. But
no,
then,
I know that's the thing. That's anytime I read Nietzsche, I'm like, fuck. Now I got to read all of Schopenhauer to understand this shit.
Yeah, and he'll drop them so fast. But what I'm just saying is, we do it too. Like, if Nietzsche was listening to us and we said, "Oh, that Dillahunty, fuck Dillahunty," and we moved on. And one thing I like about Nietzsche is he says stuff kind of that fast sometimes. You know what I mean? But if Nietzsche was listening to us, he's like, well, I guess I got to go learn what a Dillahunty is, And but if you start learning all his different things he's referring to, he's actually kind of pretty clear. Let's see, that's a good argument for the human collective, a bummer for the individual. That's
yeah. Well, it's just like when he said that, because Charles said that I'm glad that they only focused on one thing. It's great because now we have him to dissect or whatever, and I was like, yeah, that's awesome. I actually think he's right there. But like, fuck, it drove Nietzsche insane. Well, that and syphilis, I guess, but they all seem to go insane. Like, Ayn Rand was nuts by the end of her life. I don't know. I guess it is probably good. You're probably right. It's great for the collective, but I'm an individualist, I guess.
He says the collective is all it matters. Resistance is futile. Yeah, the Borg. Trans is a covert effort by patriarchy to crush feminism. That's what the rad femmes are definitely saying, and I don't think that's like zero to that. We were just noticing this week. I was maybe going to pull up later, but we got so much other stuff to cover. But there's a thing going around that like now hospitals, thanks to CRT, are not going to track people's races when they're like looking at heart disease.
Yeah, and it's really great because they're now, it's not just that, but they're no longer classifying, a lot of medical institutions are no longer classifying people by gender. They're classifying them by like body parts. So now, like, if that type of doctor looks at your chart, he doesn't see female, he sees like uterus, haver, and obviously any doctor is going to look at that and know female. But it's just an absurdity.
It's this Ouroboros happening in real time, but that's what Marx and this whatever thing is that they constantly say something like it's a double win for them because they got their policy instituted into whatever American Medical Association, all that sorts of stuff. But that policy is going to cause medical Lysenkoism, and it's going to kill some people because they would be better at tracking that stuff and locating it and narrowing in on problems if they weren't stupid about that. But then, Dan McClellan loves the CRT because the only thing he can ever point at is disparities. So now you're going to get more disparity deaths because of your stupid ideas. And so then it just also gives you the answer for why you need more CRT. So you are causing the need for more of that because you are causing the disparities. Your crap is causing the disparities that you need more of to save.
Externalize blame. That's where we are.
Yeah, this advanced communism. Communism creates the problem. Externalize the blame. Propose communist solution. Advanced communism. And yeah, super stupid. Let's see if this looks like the most popular part of it, where they kind of start blowing up here, but that's probably too long of a little minute, so I'll try to go with it. It's super popular right here. I don't know if anybody saw what happened on this, but let's see if I hit the right spot. Maybe speed up a little bit. What speeds? 1.5 or 125? They kind of talk fast.
1.5's pretty good for Dillahunty anyway.
Is that loud enough?
You flourish. So I guess in essence, step one, I'm convinced. Step two, I need to be convinced, so I'm no longer unconvinced. And step three, but God not real though doesn't matter here. I've already granted it. To still demonstrate just how stupid this ideology actually is. With that, I'll yield my time, and I'm happy to get into it.
Hey, James, I just sent you a message.
All right, we are going to get into an open discussion. So
I guess I missed the part of it. You remember the stuff that?
Well, so it's the whole. It's his entire opening statement. He like gets into trans stuff. So the debate is Christianity versus secular humanism, and the argument was that he didn't get into secular humanism. I'd say it was fairly on topic because what he's talking about is he's making the claim that secular humanism breeds things like, or at least leaves ground for things like transgender ideology. He starts talking about transgender ideology. And the thing is, I think he was definitely baiting. Like he knew that Matt Dillahunty is like long-term dating a trans woman, so he was trying to get this type of reaction out of him.
But that's what I didn't know, because us here on this same thing, what we pointed out at Matt Dillahunty, like we even talked about using that Flight of Dragons clip of where he's like beating that dragon by yelling out all these scientific terms. And then at the very end, Matt Dillahunty can pop back up, and men can menstruate, and then the dragon's heads pop all right back up. Like without even knowing that Dillahunty has been dating a trans person for a couple years. I didn't even know that.
No, I didn't know that until this happened.
That's the same angle. If I was them, that's the same angle I'd point at him with. Is like, you guys are declaring all this rationality and all this hard sciencey stuff, and then you just lose it on this other area. But I had no idea Dillahunty had skin in the game, foreskin in the game.
Oh, God.
Let's kick it.
No, I don't think so. I'm not going to sit here and dignify the preparation that I went through.
So he called them lunatics, and all that stuff. But this is another area where I think some of the atheist debaters are kind of full of shit, because he called him delusional at the start too.
Yeah.
So the atheist guy can call this thing delusional. That has like a connotation of being, you can say, no, I'm technically saying you're delusional. Well, this guy runs a podcast about like lunatics or something like that. But you don't mince your words when you zing on them. Grow a thick skin, borrow some of that. Some of that chopped off foreskin.
Is he Jim Benneting right now?
Yeah, because he's.
I was trying to be civil when I called this man a delusional retard for believing in Sky Daddy.
Exactly. I mean, I can't stand that. Like, everything can be asshole-ish. You can't be asshole-ish, and then when they're asshole-ish, you suddenly are just grab your pearls.
Well, I never.
My pearls, I never.
And what people were here for, you're so indignant.
Keep interrupting me.
I am.
Okay.
You're so indignant.
Would the moderator like to step in so that I can finish what I'm saying?
Please, Matt. Please. How dare someone have an opposing worldview?
I'm not going to sit here and dignify what was supposed to be a debate about Christianity versus secular humanism, which one's better for the world.
Yes.
With someone who clearly showed up with an agenda that has nothing to do with that.
Someone
who refers to trans people as deranged lunatics who will self-terminate if you dare to question them.
How am I wrong, Matt?
Someone who misrepresents a quote from a debate where I said I wouldn't make a law about 9-year-olds having sex being legal with respect to the 9-year-olds, not that I was in any way in favor of it, and that I was actually opposed to it, which I addressed during that debate. But moreover, this is not remotely an honest interaction on the front of whether or not secular humanism is valuable. Because this, when he presented his position here, has nothing to do with secular humanism. From the get-go, it's all about me. Matt thinks. I'm giving what Matt thinks. Matt's position. I came in with the secular humanist manifesto. I came in with positions that aren't that aren't merely my position.
Oh, well, as long as multiple people hold the position.
This guy's not serious, and I'm leaving. James, if you want to refund,
well, good day, sir. And I'll cover your refund, Mr. Matt.
He just said he'd cover my refund.
I would cover his refund.
No.
He's so happy right now.
Nope.
Here comes like this.
No, I'm not going to dignify a debate with someone who walked in to trash talk people and be smug and all of the things that he's doing right now. He's already said he will cover my. You don't have anything to worry about. This debate is over. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Jackass.
Did you call me a jackass, Matt? Well, you and your husband have a good day, man. Have a wonderful day, Matt.
Like right at that moment, like I didn't know. Like I didn't know. I guess I've been floating around some other places, but I had no idea. And I was like, I thought that was just a zinger, But
it would have been really funny. It would have been really funny if Matt Dillahunty turned around and like, "We're not married."
Yeah. We don't believe in marriage. We're polyamorous.
My Instagram loving bitch wife always cared about her privacy.
But it just kind of like blew my mind. I had no idea that. Let me see here. I got the person. Where did it go? Oh.
Matt Dillahunty being angry at somebody for being smug is one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
Oh, you see, the Synod on Synodality said transgender people can be baptized and be godparents.
Mm-hmm.
No big deal to me, that one.
Oh, look, Matt Walsh is telling me on YouTube why the Marvels flopped.
Why?
I don't know. It's a
'cause you got
video, and I'm like, Matt Walsh, please don't talk about art. You're really bad at it.
Yeah. Where did it go?
I mean, he's probably right because it looks like it's terrible.
Oh, you had a TikTok kind of go viral-ish.
Wow,
You watched
1,000. It was like 1,000 views. It was on TikTok, which is not that much.
Viral for our world.
Yeah.
Where the heck did Dang it! Where is it?
What are you looking for?
Oh, Jezebel, the feminist media. I'm just pulling up who Matt Dillahunty's person is. I had that.
Oh yeah.
That I shared of
His husband.
his husband. Yeah. But that kind of blows my mind. I didn't know he was doing that. Now I kind of get like why he spazzes out so hard when anybody ever talks about it. But at the same time, if you're a public debater, like you should be able to debate that. It is
yeah.
of your worldview. It is part of your secular humanism. You got no right to be joining debates and thinking that's too tough of a subject for you to address without rage quitting, especially if you're asking them to sit there and get called delusional.
So what do you think? What do you think the next word for woke should be? Because, like, I don't know, the normies and the boomers got a hold of it, so now it's becoming lame. It's kind of like social justice warrior. So I don't know. What do you think? I put that out there in the void. I want to know what my friend said. Cucked, but yeah, but I don't want to ruin the word cuck. That word's funny to me. Nice, sacred.
I don't know. I guess I'd have to think about that one and come across one. Where the heck did it go? I swear, did we delete the thing where anyway, the person's name is Arden Hart.
Yeah.
Damn it. Maybe I didn't share it there. I listened to Arden Hart's entire life story after that. And Arden Hart transitioned at like 13, 14, then detransitioned again at 17, said that from like 17 to 22 became a toxic anti-transitioner. Told everybody else they shouldn't transfer, and then decided to re-transition once again.
Wait,
and
how old?
Yeah, like 22. How old now is like 27, 28, 29 or something.
Ooh, that's a little young for Dillahunty. I don't know. I feel like if we're giving Leo DiCaprio shit, maybe we should. I don't know. How old is
That's
Dillahunty?
been going like a couple years now, but I mean, I guess that explains why Dillahunty can't keep his brain about that stuff at all. Yeah, drink up. This is the end of Enlightenment Renaissance. It was all foretold by the Mormon prophet, philosopher queens. Sinead is dead. Jezebel's gone. How about clever? She just got clever. Yeah, that's. I mean, I guess passing, yeah, sort of. Do you think that's passing?
I mean, yeah, but it's through pictures. It doesn't mean anything to me.
That's true.
You know, people say Blair White passes and stuff, but like Blair White looks plastic.
Yeah, I don't
like,
think.
Yeah.
Here, let's look at your TikTok, because that has to do with the same subject at the hand.
Oh yeah, discrimination.
Sometimes with school choice, it gets a little bit tricky, right? My first class the first day I had 25 students. By day 2, I had 19 because 6 parents switched out of the class because they saw me and they were like, there's no freaking way, before I even got a word in. As a
beast, do not think that is okay or they're right to withdraw when they see you, because ultimately you're probably an excellent educator.
I appreciate that.
I have no doubt. I think we get into muddy waters when we start trying to take that choice away from the parent.
Do I think that it is okay for a parent to see me and go, not around my kid? No, I don't think that's okay.
I don't understand what the alternative is, because it sounds to me like you want me to be legally compelled to sit my kid in a desk in front of you for 6 to 8 hours a day. Is that right?
I feel like that's really crossing the line because you are, for lack of better words, discriminating against me openly. That's like,
oh no, sir. It isn't a lack of better word. That's the exact word. I am discriminating against you in the exact same way that I would discriminate between a crack den and a hospital when choosing a location to get open heart surgery. Not only am I well within my rights to discriminate against who gets to spend time with my kids, I'd actually be absolutely batshit insane not to do that. And in case you were wondering, the very first person on my list of people I will discriminate against in this regard is the guy who says, listen, sir, you should be legally obliged to leave me alone with your kids for 6 hours a day. It isn't that I think lipstick on a man is wrong, it's that the entire presentation and demeanor says it all. I know everything about you. I know everything that you believe at a glance. I know that you're pro-Palestine. I know that you're pro-abortion. I know that you're anti-gun. And I also know that you think that I'm fascist. And are we just going to ignore the fact that it is strikingly obvious that you're an activist? So if one look at your face tells me all I need to know about you, I'm not going to be trapped by societal convention against making this judgment call for my children. Because activism trumps all. And the moment you decide on that is the moment you decide that it's okay to tell my kid that gender is a social construct that has settled, unquestionable, scientific consensus. So I'm going to keep on being very discriminatory in who gets to be alone with my children. That's, yeah. So the most important thing you can read off that dude's face is that he's an activist.
Yeah.
Right? Because, I don't know, I understand that people who I might put in charge of educating my kids have stupid opinions, or maybe opinions if put on a world stage would be harmful, right? But once I know you're, like, if I don't think you're an activist, I know you'll keep those to yourself. Once I know you're an activist, I know that you're going to feel like, well, okay, my activism is more important than my professionalism. And it's more important that I be an activist and try to get my ideas out there than be an educator.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know. Somebody was talking about, I guess we move on to the Jewish stuff and the Palestinian stuff a little bit too, but it's kind of like, it does feel just like you're saying woke is getting ghost, but it does feel like it's because like there's a big turn and change happening. One of those big changes that seemed to happen this week. And like you're saying, like, something about this trans stuff. Well, first off, a lot of different studies are coming out saying, no, this is not good for little kids. Do not do this to little kids, which should have been obvious from the start. But it seems like there's like a little bit of a corner getting turned with that it's especially that it's getting okay to just outright say, up front that this isn't okay for young people, and maybe even old people should really think about going and medicalizing it and getting on like a lifetime treadmill of medicalizing your body in that way, and and thinking kind of this religious Gnostic belief that your essence is different than what your body is, and some doctor's going to surgery you into that essence. I saw this week, though, at the same time, there was this doctor who offered the first ever surgery of a male and a female at the same time, and they could swap parts. Ugh.
Ew. So, like, how many parts? Pelvis? Because that's part of it.
Yeah.
Oh, every single cell. Just take his brain and put it in hers, and then somehow convince to stop getting too much testosterone to the female body.
Yeah. Oh, look at this. There was one other thing here. James Lindsay, that guy who bonked Pelosi's husband on the head, said he was a major James Lindsay and Tim Pool fan, and that came up in the courts. So that must have made him go and bonk Pelosi on the head there. But you shared this meme. This is, I think, probably the best meme of like the whole week.
That was pretty great.
You must be at least this tall to start World War III. But one of the things that's been seems like there's a tide changing too is that I was just listening to Dave Smith, who's on Tim Pool before this, and him kind of coming out saying like, we're not going to kind of buy the Zionist narrative of this stuff and totally. But it just Elon Musk put up a post about saying like, how come everything that we argue for Israel, you cannot argue for any other nation? And that sort of thing would have gotten. That's the owner of Twitter reposting or saying that this week. And that sort of thing would have gotten anybody called alt-right and kicked off of Twitter 6 years ago. And now it's just kind of getting mainstream to people being able to just ask the general, like Israel keeps bringing up stuff like, how come you can't take the Gazans? And they'll say, well, we have to worry about the demographic balance of our country. And everybody will say, what? Like, what? Like, how do you just openly say that there? And no other place is allowed to say that. But then now we're critical of this. You get called like an anti-Semite for that.
Yeah, they're like, we don't want to worry about all the demographic balance of our country. So, U.S., how about you guys take all of Gaza and just put it in Portland?
Yeah. And I saw some other place say take them to Utah. And I was like, no. Like the only thing I'll accept if it's like down the street from Ben Shapiro. That's the only thing I'll accept right now. But the people are, strangely enough, thanks to this whole stuff, allowed to kind of talk about that out loud right now and saying, wait a minute, either it can't be true for Israel and not true for us, or Israel also must take their refugees, and like we take refugees. It's got to be one or the other. Once again, it can't be like these weird two-tiered system things. But it was leaked that they definitely have like a plan and an idea to cleanse Gaza and have all of them move into the West and get out of there so that they can annex that land. But let's see here. So Candace, oh, wait a minute.
That's not Candace. That's a Salt Lake Tribune.
And Russell Ballard died. Oh,
yeah.
Phew. Somebody says right here, where was it? Somebody said that we all need to admit that we would just bang Nuance Ho. Where was that?
Well, it was Jane Cobb. It's pretty high up there. And he's talking to Christopher Rice. He changed his handle to Risto.
That's his, Rice.
Yeah, his Scandinavian. I think the short term of Christopher.
So it's not much of a change. I watched an interview question this week that was gold. Elliot Page being asked, "What do trans men have to offer to the masculine world?" Whoa!
I want to watch that now.
Yeah. What was the answer? Oh, there it is. The answer was clearly from someone who doesn't get what is being a man. Yeah. I'm the handle, but I did change my handle. My handle today is the Assembly of Yahweh. Does anybody know what that is? Where it's based beyond comprehension. Anybody heard of the Assembly of Yahweh? Has anybody heard of that? The Assembly of Yahweh is what these guys named the Wilks, who are the actual owners of the Daily Wire. It's their weird messianic Christianity kind of cult that they're in. So a lot of people are kind of asking like, well, why doesn't Shapiro just fire Candace Owens or fire Matt Walsh? Well, Shapiro's not really like the majority owner of that. The majority owners are the Wilks people, who are these messianic Christians who are kind of a dispensationalist about the Jews and all that sorts of stuff. But they're not like 100% just like the same as Shapiro. So there's a whole other weird religion over there at the Daily Wire that maybe you didn't even know about. Look up what the Assembly of Yahweh is. It's totally, I don't even know. They like take like communion like once a year. They think that the Old Testament is the only part of the Bible that's true, but they're Christians.
So not Christians?
I don't know how that works.
Can you be a Christian and not believe in the New Testament? Like, that goes over all the things that Jesus said?
Yeah.
We're Christians. We don't like that Jesus fella.
So how lucky was it that M. Russell Ballard died? Although they were saying that he was out of it for a while, but he seemed perfectly fine at the October conference. But man, they was lucky.
I guess they hide it pretty well. I don't know. He was 95. I don't know, but I love watching all the ex-Mormons speculate. Well, did Nelson kill him? I'm like, wait a minute. Okay, I know you, dude, who said this. You got mad at me for speculating that maybe the COVID lab in Wuhan, China, is where the COVID virus leaked.
Yeah.
And you called me a conspiracy theorist for all this shit, and you're like, I don't know, did the Mormon Church kill this apostle so he couldn't talk?
So look at this going on right now at the Democrat National Committee. There's all these Palestinian supporters raiding it right now. That's happening tonight. Wildness abounds.
Palestinians, queers for Palestine. What are they doing?
I don't know. So did you see this phenomenon going of all these like leftist young people read bin Laden's letter and now they're all agreeing with bin Laden?
Oh, Christ.
To say that I not only have never read this letter, but I didn't even know this letter existed. It's wild, and everyone should read it. If you haven't read it yet,
it's what the entirety of
However,
Dave Smith on
forewarned
talking about tonight.
that
talking about,
this
what
has
the heck
left
are these
me
people who
very
suddenly agree with bin
disillusioned,
Laden?
and I feel the same exact way I felt when I was deconstructing Christianity. I feel
okay. Hang on. There is something in the human mind craves the feeling of disillusionment. I know it.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Like people fucking want that, especially when they do it the first time. It's addicting. And
Yeah, let's get that again, man.
Everything. Oh yeah, fucking red pill me on how alcohol is actually great for you. Red pill me. I don't know. So this makes sense to me. I knew she was going to say that the second she said, I feel really disillusioned, especially. I was like, she's an ex-Christian of some type. Yep.
Yeah. And I read after I saw this going viral, I went and read that whole letter, which I think I'd read before. And I read it again. And it's all summed up right here at the very top. Every girl is discovering that bin Laden was a shit lib.
just confused, like I have entered into another timeline. What is this? And yeah, so go read it.
So I just read A Letter to America, and I will never look at life the same. I will never look at this country the same.
So Tim Pool argues that half.
Wait a minute, wait. I bet the conclusion to this isn't okay. The guy that took down 2 buildings, killing over 2,000 people, believes the same things that I do. I was wrong. There's no way that's the conclusion they come to. They're like, wait a minute, no, 9/11 was justified.
That bin Laden was a revolutionary shit lib. Yeah. Yay.
He was right all along. It's a Severus Snape thing. They plugged his fucking. Never mind. Go on.
So you see, it's become just like a viral trend on the TikToks. There's all these different ones saying it. Oh my gosh, it's just totally. And it's basically that. Then in the meantime, you got all of the power grabbing. You got the governor of New York saying that we're going to go after hate speech. And then you had Nikki Haley say that she wants to get day one in office when she's president. She wants to get rid of anonymity online.
I saw that shit. I hope Nikki Haley dies. just kidding. In a video game. I don't know. That was just.
I thought.
I don't hope that anybody dies, but Nikki Haley is fucking nuts. She's the biggest shield to ever live.
I thought it was a pretty funny troll that Candace Owens said that she had a change of heart and she came out. She wants Nikki Haley. She wants Nikki Haley as president of Israel. I now support Nikki Haley for president of Israel.
I hate this timeline so much. There's a big dispute between Ben Shapiro and Candace Owens, and I'm siding with fucking Candace Owens. Not only that, but Candace Owens also said like the funniest thing that any of these talking heads have said all year in endorsing Nikki Haley. The timing was great. Too. Like
But
take notes, Crowder, because you try to be funny constantly, and Candace Owens in one joke was funnier than you've been in your entire life.
It's such a strange.
And I hate Candace Owens
because Candace Owens is kind of like, stop being weird Zionists, you people from Israel. But yeah, Hamas sucks. And then Dave Smith, if you listen to them today, they were kind of saying, yeah, but there's a point, like listen to Bin Laden, like it really wasn't just that they hated us for our freedom, and the reason these kids are getting red pilled or whatever by it, blue pilled by it, is that the story that George Bush gave them that they hate us for our freedom was a bigger lie. But them also thinking that it's like just because of all the shitlib things, because Tim Pool says they didn't read it, or they're just realized that other people got followings or views on TikTok for saying that they read it and they were shocked. Because if you actually read it, it also goes in on LGBTQ stuff and that sort of deal. So like, sure, they might be like, whoa, he said everything the US has done about Palestine and you know, killing our people and all that sorts of deal. But they also went after him saying like, we hate you LGBT people, and we can't believe that you let Bill Clinton get a blowjob in your office and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, well, and by the way, this happened on like a lesser scale about 10 years ago when every 25-year-old male decided to read the Unabomber Manifesto, and you made fun of him for it.
Mm-hmm. The Uncle Ted Manifesto. But just like that, I mean, there's stuff Bin Laden wasn't wrong about. There's stuff Ted Kaczynski wasn't wrong about.
Oh, no, Ted Kaczynski was right about a lot of things. It's just killing people wasn't one of them.
Yeah. And, but they had a big, long argument about it on Tim Pool with Dave Smith tonight. And I thought it was an interesting argument. But at the same time, too, I would have liked to hear Dave Smith and the dude from Liberty Lockdown talk about other stuff. But they spent almost the entire time talking about this. Look at this. I know you like this one.
There is so much momentum right now for us to capitalize on to break down capitalism. And I wanted to talk about my view. So hi, I'm Margot. I'm a nutrition professional, and I am looking into like, how are we going to feed each other and ourselves in order to sustain us through the long haul and make the most impact.
Is this retard claiming to be DID?
I want to work with other nutrition professionals
DID?
and come up with.
She's just saying that she's going to do food plans for the revolution.
Okay, she just says we and stuff. I thought this was one of those TikTok dipshits that thought she had dissociative identity disorder.
Oh, yeah, that would have been better. But it is associative identity disorder, thinking that you're going to be the food planner of the revolution.
She's disassociating from reality, obviously.
Yeah.
She doesn't have multiple personalities. She has one, and it's fucking dumb.
Yeah. So that's the thing Candace said that set off Ben Shapiro. She also quoted the scripture. What'd she say?
Blessed are the peacemakers.
Blessed are the peacemakers. And
yeah.
Shapiro said, well, if you don't like taking money, you can quit. No.
I know. That was like, dude, you're getting defensive. Come on, man. I like you usually.
Yeah.
You're being fucking ridiculous.
And then something that was funny that she said that she told Shapiro something that I've been saying is that he's been just acting like an emotional freak show since the whole thing happened. And I said a while ago, I think he should take a couple weeks off and like sit it out for a minute, because I get that he's upset and frustrated, but you know,
here's a good moment for him to show some character. I don't know what he'll do about this, but if they don't fire Candace Owens over this, I'll actually have a good deal of respect for that move, I think.
Yeah, if they
which
don't.
If it were like a year ago, and they fired her for no reason, I would have respected them more for that.
But Shapiro literally called Nikki Haley his spirit animal.
Oh God!
Even Matt Walsh kind of like went after her a little bit for
Did he really say that?
Oh, he's been saying that for years. He said that for that whole time that she was like the ambassador to the UN. He'd say,
I guess I haven't listened to Shapiro in like years, I guess. Or very, very selectively. I've only seen clips.
of this show that I am not exactly a big fan of Republican presidential candidate Nikki Haley. In fairness, I'm not a fan of any.
Remember, this is him going against who Shapiro says is his spirit. So like Walsh and Candace are kind of going off the reservation.
Politician, even the few that I support, politicians are not professional athletes or pop stars. They shouldn't have fans. But either way, my feelings about Nikki Haley are generally quite negative. Her whole brand is basically George Bush in a pantsuit, which is a brand that I not only find viscerally repulsive, but also one that couldn't possibly be more out of step and out of touch. In fact, it's worse than George Bush in a pantsuit because George Bush was at least kind of likable in a goofy, bumbling neocon warhawk kind of way. Really has the neocon warhawk part down, but not the likable part. So
Did you see that when Vivek called her Dick Cheney in 3-inch heels?
Oh, that was Vivek is funny as fuck.
Although some people pointed out that was a double insult because he might have also been
DeSantis.
DeSantis.
Yeah.
She's George Bush with less charm and more shrillness. Basically, it's like the most unappealing sales pitch you could possibly come up with, in my opinion.
And it's wild that she is for sure establishment conservative choice right now. Like if the Republican convention got to override all voting and say we choose, they would for sure choose Nikki Haley right now.
Oh,
That's who they want, which is wild to me.
But it's not just my opinion. Many conservatives feel the same way, of course, especially after Haley's most recent controversy. Appearing on Fox News yesterday, the presidential hopeful called for the government to unmask and monitor all anonymous accounts on every social media platform. A plan that sounds bad when you hear it summarized and then somehow gets even worse when she explains it in more detail. Listen.
When I get into office, the first thing we have to do, social media accounts, social media companies, they have to show America their algorithms. Let us see why they're pushing what they're pushing. The second thing is every person on social media should be verified by their name. That's, first of all, it's a...
They do. Social media. Is she saying the difference in my administration between and the Biden administration is that my administration will force social media companies to work with us to know what the American people are saying? Wait, isn't that what the entire Twitter files was about? She's like advocating we go back to that.
Yeah.
The national security threat. When you do that, all of a sudden people have to stand by what they say, and it gets rid of the Russian bots, the Iranian bots, and the Chinese bots. And then you're going to get some civility when people know their name is next to what they say. Accountability. And they know their pastor and their family member is going to see it. It's going to help our kids, and it's going to help our country.
So this is not just something she wants to do, but it's a day one priority. When she first gets into the White House, which she never will, the first thing she wants to do is to start exposing and logging all of those dastardly anonymous accounts. Biden's DOJ just prosecuted a man for posting a joke about Hillary Clinton with his anonymous account. And we talked about this on the show. They sentenced him to 7 months in federal prison. Haley has, as far as I know, expressed no concern over that outrageous miscarriage of justice, that blatant assault on the First Amendment. Instead, she wants to make it easier for the federal government to do that again. Now, the kind of general complaint about anonymous accounts is one that years ago I would have agreed with. Now, I never would have called it a national security threat or advocated for the government to forcibly unmask them. But I did buy into the idea that conversations online would be more productive if everybody had their real name attached to whatever they're saying. It's easy, to see why a non-anonymous person can find it annoying when anonymous people take pot shots from behind the cover of their fake name and their anime avatar or whatever. But, I kind of changed my view on this topic because, of course, not every anonymous person is a dumb troll, and plenty of people who are not anonymous are still dumb trolls. I'm not sure there's any real evidence that people online are suddenly more thoughtful and civil when they go by their real name. Ultimately, it's not anonymity that enables so many people on social media to conduct themselves like despicable clowns. Rather, it's the screen separating them from everyone they're engaging with. It is the separation, it's the disconnect that gives rise to most of this stuff. And that's just the nature of the beast. That's the internet. There's nothing you can do about that. Besides, the problem with online discourse, much like the problem with discourse in Washington, D.C., it's not that it lacks civility. The problem on the internet, anyway, is that usually this discussion is loud and stupid and focused on the wrong things. But there are plenty of loud, stupid, off-topic people ruining the conversation while proudly posting all that stuff with their real names and faces. Again, there's no reason to think that taking away anonymity will suddenly make people respectful and thoughtful. The internet is just not a place for that kind of conversation, and never has been, and never will be. In any case, there are, I've realized, very good reasons for people to be anonymous. It's easy for someone like me to cast all anonymous accounts as cowardly trolls. It's easy for Nikki Haley to take that position. We are both public figures whose employment will not be threatened by us expressing our political views. Our whole public persona is based around the expression of our views.
Hopefully.
Now, that's not to say that I don't suffer very real personal consequences for it, but at least my livelihood is not threatened. For many people in this country, the situation is quite different. If they don't have the cover of anonymity, then they will not be able to engage at all. They will not be able to share their views at all. They face being fired, ostracized, potentially even worse. And not for saying horrible, objectionable things, but simply for expressing viewpoints that are not approved by mainstream liberal society. The holidays are coming up fast, and while
dang, I thought there was some part where he said, I was even holding out the part where he said, and Nikki Haley's not even using her real name, because that isn't her real name.
It isn't?
What's that?
It isn't? I didn't know that.
No, she's Indian.
Wait, let's see. Nikki Haley, real name. Nimarata Nikki Randhawa Haley. Okay.
How's that spelled? Here it is. Nimarata Nikki Randhawa Haley. And I think the Nikki and the Haley parts were added in. Like, you know. Her name's not Nikki Haley. Boomer wannabe. Yeah. Yeah, that's weird that Shapiro's going, like, even Peterson, that's kind of going against Peterson, because Peterson was pushing against the anonymity stuff. And
yeah,
I don't know. There's
so the thing is with Peterson, he was pushing against it like on principle.
Yeah,
I don't think he was ever pushing it. Yeah. And I think, like, in a world where there is no consequences for, I mean, I don't think you should be fired for saying shitty things on the internet, really. And so in that world, I'd say, yeah, don't be a pussy. Put your name behind it or whatever. But I'm not gonna make that a legal mandate.
Yeah, I wouldn't at all. I mean, a lot of my favorite accounts out there are what do you call it, like pen names or whatever.
Oh, for sure.
Sometimes it comes out later, like who they are. But let me see here. Did I lose the theme? Listen to this one. This one's funny.
Democracy basically means government by the people, of the people, for the people. But the people are retarded.
I love that. I want that to be a
government by the people, of the people, for the people. But the people are retarded.
I want that to be like an intro thing.
Oh man, that's goddamn. He's right, but the problem is the government are also people, so I don't know what the fuck to do. They always
look at
There's actually that's actually a good lesson from the Book of Mormon. The whole King Benjamin speech is him talking about how, look, you guys got lucky. I'm a good king, and people can't. If we could have a good king every time, we would, we'd be great. We could keep doing this king thing, but we can't. We're not going to have a good king every time. He was smart enough to understand that, and he's like, so when we have a good king, it's fucking great. When we have an even slightly less than good king, it's really bad. And if we have a terrible king, we die, right? So that's actually a pretty good lesson. And it's the same thing, with democracy. You got to understand all the people. Yeah, people by and large are retarded. And people going into government by and large are retarded. But you'll get less retarded people in government. Less percentage of your government will be retarded if you have a democracy than if you have a monarchy, I guess. And I don't even know if democracy is the best form of government. I mean, I think it's the least terrible kind, as far as I can tell.
So look at this. This is how the lefties get their wires crossed again. This, I don't know if you know the story. Carrie Smith went over it a little bit in her podcast yesterday, but listen to how they frame it. Lives of TikTok is popular on the right, which has turned harassing LGBTQ people into a major pastime. A GOP mayor got the Libs of TikTok treatment from the right-wing blog. He killed himself. Now, a lot of conservatives don't think it's funny anymore.
Okay.
Headlines: The suicide of a gender non-conforming GOP mayor reveals the incoherence of the right's culture wars. Instead of thanking Breitbart writer for outing their leader, this conservative Alabama town is outraged. Why? To read past headlines, about the GOP mayor who killed himself after being outed as a cross-dresser? But I dive deeper, looking at how Libs of TikTokization of the right made this happen, and why so many Republicans refuse to get it. With Libs of TikTok driven harassment of random queer people being the favorite pastime of MAGA Nation, it's not surprising that a right-wing website thought the very conservative resident of one Alabama town would welcome the outing of their mayor. I voted for Trump. I lean for the right. What happened to this man is despicable, one woman wrote angrily. I dig into why these folks keep imagining leopards won't eat their face. But of course, that's not how this works. There's a reason that Libs of TikTok has the name and not something more accurate, like let's hate queer people. This is something to watch, like on Twitter. If you're on Twitter.
All right, let's see it.
If you're on Twitter and you notice like these people have like 15 replies to their same thing, they're not really saying anything new with the 15 replies. One of the things that they're trying to do is make sure that the comment section's lower. They're trying to do that on purpose. Like if I put like 15 responses to my own thing, you'll get bored before you get down to the comment section where I'm going to get fact checked. MAGA Nation Live the TikTok groomer talk is blah, blah, blah. Yeah. All right. Let's see it. Carrie Smith. No mention whatsoever of the images of women and children from his town he was posting to porn sites. No mention of the murder porn he was writing, fantasizing about killing local women, calling them by name. This guy killed himself because of shame, ego, and a thought culture that wants to ignore sickness if a person happens to cross-dress.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, the mayor was writing murder porn using the names of people in the town.
Holy fuck. The thing is, this person knew that. I'm so positive. Whoever posted all they knew that, and they're like, well, it works better for my narrative to praise this murder porn glutton.
He was posting random kids from his town to porn sites. Like, come on.
All right, look, I'm never gonna counsel somebody to off themselves, but when it's a guy posting child porn, all right, do it. I don't know, man.
But their wires get so crossed on this thing. Like, of course, they would just hate this guy because he was a GOP guy. Then they find out as a cross-dresser, and suddenly we can apologize for all things he ever did ever. Yeah, and obviously, if he was just a GOP guy and hadn't done that horrible stuff, you guys would think he deserves the gulag. Like, come on. Out of control, man. Did you watch? Did you watch Gavin Newsom?
Okay, I saw a clip of it, but I would love to see this again.
I know folks say, "Oh, they're just cleaning up this place because all those fancy leaders are coming into town." That's true, because it's true. True. For months and months and months prior to APEC, we've been having different conversations. I know folks say, "Oh,
did you see that freeway burnt down there too?"
I didn't see a freeway burnt down, but I saw that
10 burnt down in California thanks to a bunch of homeless stuff underneath it. And they tried to announce it in the news of, yeah, crates underneath the freeway burnt it down. Like it's like a major
Crates, we
floodway
were
travel in California.
We were just storing stuff there.
It was for sure a homeless encampment.
They were just crates.
Yeah. Did you watch that girl who got arrested try to use all of her identity stuff to get out of a?
I don't think so. How does Gavin Newsom keep getting? Wait, are you playing something?
Yeah, sorry, did not.
I'm still on the Gavin Newsom thing. I thought you were looking for something.
God damn it!
Blatant, naked self-interest. The people that have been performatively woke for a very long time, right? I mean, all these people, Schumer's in the IDF now. Like everybody is moving in the direction of blatant, naked self-interest. This is what's happening. I called that years ago. All woke is a patina. It's basically going, no, this is about everyone else. That's all. Not everyone else, but it's not. It's about you. It was a great way to elevate mediocre people in the arts, these overeducated degree holders from liberal arts schools that owed a shitload of money in student loans and had nowhere to work. They bullied their way into these diversity coordinator bullshit positions, sensitivity readers, HR departments inflated with all these things. That's what it was. It was always disguising self-interest with altruism. No, it's for the collective. It's for the better. But now it's become a cartoon, and we've seen it, and it's actually funny. I actually like them now. Once you say I changed around, it's all over. Keep going here.
I don't want to step out whenever you're asking for stuff.
Okay, well, we're past that. So just go ahead and step out.
As an Indigenous person.
Hold back here, please. Miss Perry?
Well, I'm non-binary, so.
Okay. What do you go by?
It's Kai.
How can I refer to you tonight?
It's Kai.
Okay. Hey, I'm smelling alcohol.
I know.
How much have you consumed tonight?
Like probably 3 drink.
I need to run you through some tests right now. Stand facing me, please.
But I just want you to know that I also have very bad social anxiety.
You and me both.
Like she's at a party.
Okay. Any recent head trauma, traumatic brain injuries, anything I need to know about?
Mental, yes.
Focus on my finger, please.
I am. You're just like trying to intimidate me.
I don't know how I'm trying to do that. This is the test.
As you know, as an Indigenous person, and there's a bunch of going around. I'm sorry, but it's just for me to be on my toes.
I get you.
Can you remember that I told you that I'm non-binary?
Yeah, I'll try my hardest.
No.
I'll refer to you as Kai, right?
Yes.
Perfect. I need to know if you have any injuries or anything that would prevent you from doing a standard walk or turn tonight.
Mental health.
Any physical injuries?
Mental, yeah.
Jesus fuck.
Mental, PTSD, depression, anxiety.
I get you.
What else do you want?
Now with your right foot, place it in front of your left in a heel-to-toe touching manner with your
By the
arms
way,
by your
can you
side,
stop
just
for a
like this,
minute?
man.
You know what I've noticed? This is a new thing. People just say they have PTSD now, and no one has to prove. Like people just say that now. Like that was reserved for veterans of foreign wars. Like I understand anxiety and depression, and whatever, but people just say I have post-traumatic stress disorder. That
You remember what that used to be called? You remember what PTSD used to be called, like back in the day? Shell shock.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's what it was originally called after World War I. They called it shell shock because people got it
shaken so hard. Yeah.
Yeah, they were dropped. They had gigantic shells dropped on they bombs and shit. Like
videos of the guys who had it, like they were like.
It's you. You thought you were gonna die. You watched your buddy's legs get blown off. You had shrapnel in your body. So now, every now and then, you wake up with your hands wrapped around your wife's throat, and you hate yourself for it. That's
or it happened to like
PTSD.
the ones who were in the Pacific and they were in those nests all night and they couldn't sleep. Like
oh yeah,
one of those stories that they robbed us of our sleep. I think is from like the helmet for my pillow type stuff, and like the rest of their life they were so unable to unwire themselves at sleep time because just the abject fear. And yeah.
What is it from? Keep going.
Can you not call me ma'am, please?
I'm trying my hardest.
Okay, well,
Okay.
it means a lot to me.
I'm trying my
I
hardest.
don't feel like a man, so
Okay.
it's kind of
He's
triggering.
like
Right foot in front of your left. Nope. Go back.
I'm sorry, but the whole man thing just like.
I apologize.
She's
Let's see if we
going
can move
hard.
forward from that.
She's
Yeah,
going
zero
hard.
questions?
No, but I just want to tell you that I suffer from really bad anxiety, especially with generational trauma and PTSD around white people. And
Yeah, he did generational.
Oh,
What
God.
happened often to suck people off? No, I mean, truly, what happened to just going like, can I suck your cock? Like, instead of, it's got to work more often than this shit. It's got to work more often than this shit. It's got to, more than generational
you
trauma,
knew,
just like, can I suck your
If he knew 100% that if he just let her go drunk off her ass, that she would just drive 90 miles an hour into a wall, then I think he'd probably do it.
Yeah.
Like, if she hurts nobody else, she just like drives into a fucking wall and puts us all out of her misery. I don't know how to be a nice person right now.
Jacob says, this is nuance. Oh, I can see nuance. I was like, you were asked somewhere up there if we all just wanted to bang nuance. And I'd be like, I have a thing nowadays where I can't get, we should come up with like a sexual identity that says I can't get attracted to someone who might trans my kid.
Yeah, I know.
So like what sexual identity is that? It's like a trans my kid sexuality.
No, it's just normal heterosexuality. Like that's all it is. Because I've thought about this before in the whole abortion debate. Because I don't like abortion. And my rule on that is I'm never going to put my dick in somebody who I think will kill my kid. Right? Because if I went out and had a one night stand with someone like an idiot and she got pregnant, I would beg her not to kill that kid. Because that feels terrible to me.
And I'm not saying this like as a joke. Like I've made this real calculation and passed on real women because of this.
No, I know that's what I'm saying, because I won't put my dick in a person who I think might kill my kids. I have to know abortion is not an option in your head before I have sex with you. Luckily, I married someone who feels the same, so I don't have to fucking worry about that. The equation's already fucking settled there. But I would do the same thing with like, okay, but also after you don't kill the kid in utero, also don't trans them later in life. And also on the same page with that, so we're golden.
Yeah. So we don't need to come up with a sexual identity for it?
No, not really.
I guess
like,
that's just playing their game, isn't it?
Yeah, because no, I couldn't put my I'm not gonna say that.
Here's old Helen Pluckrose having a conversation with John Cleese. Did you watch this?
I didn't, but I was excited for it.
Helen, I'm so happy to have you on this show. And the reason I'm happy is that I can't get the woke people to come on and discuss it with me. We've asked over a dozen of them, and they basically refuse.
Woke, it's becoming cringe, but at the same time, too, I see people getting better at just plainly saying it, too.
You're right. I'm mostly just kind of joking. It's like my whole thing, how everybody I know is leaving Mormonism now, so it's no longer cool because everybody uses it. Woke used to be a thing that just I used and not a lot of people did, and now everybody uses it, so I feel less cool. So it's my own stupid vanity.
Well, but I mean, I do think it's maybe like not using it in like, oh, you woke type stuff, like just saying it plainly, kind of how Carrie Smith does. She just, she'll say, it is, the cult of woke, or he'll just say this is wokeness. And Helen here kind of reminds us of why it's called that,
I wanted you to help me, Helen, is that since they won't come on to answer the questions I'd like to ask, if I ask you those questions, will you give me the answers that they would normally give? Because you've studied that and you know how they think, and why won't they discuss this with me?
So you are coming here from a marketplace of ideas approach, the concept of debate, of bringing ideas together, comparing them, seeing which stand up best to critique, qualifying them, having them critique each other, is understood largely as a Western white masculinist tradition.
So this is liberalism, would you say?
Yes. Liberalism is very explicitly critiqued in what I would call critical social justice, and most people call wokeness. Liberalism is the big enemy. This idea that if we get people together, we are then rational agents who can evaluate ideas, compare them, and replace bad ideas with better ones, or as John Stuart Mill would say, exchange error for truth. This is to the social justice activists a Western philosophy. It does not allow for the lived experience and the different knowledges of marginalized people.
As I am a straight white male and an imperialist.
Apparently, yes.
Apparently. Is that why they won't speak to me?
It certainly is a big strike against you, yes. But even more than that, have you taken effort to educate yourself, do the work, uncover your own biases, dismantle your whiteness, detoxify your masculinity, and decolonize your concepts of knowledge? Because if you have not done any of this, then you are not woke. You are not awake to the systems of power and privilege. You are still asleep. And so there is no point in speaking to you.
Okay, but the whole thing sounds to me really quite authoritarian. Slightly like the medieval.
I mean, that's really kind of the point of woke and why it still has to be that, is because it sounds like a slang term, but it really also isn't. Like if you look up like the term and the history of it from New Discourses, that they actually put it in the academic writing back then. It really is like there's no other real way to say it because it's their cringy word, you know.
Helen Pluckrose is great because so people try to sort of perfect woke speak to be comedic, right? And like I've worked at this trying to, and I love people who aren't as into it as I am. Like they'll recognize it though, they've heard it, they know it subconsciously. And so when I rattle off all these woke things, they laugh at it. They're like, oh yeah, there's that, and I'll try to act like I'm like the brain dead wokey, and they laugh at it. Like Ryan Long has largely perfected this in his writing, and it's great. Helen Pluckrose, she's not even like, if she is, I don't recognize it, but she's not even trying to be funny. She could just rattle off all this shit like it's nothing. She's fucking brilliant. I mean, she's not trying to be funny, but she's hilarious.
Yeah, but I think that's kind of one of the things is like if you just hit at it that it's, well, you gotta just say it what it is. And I think it's a little bit. Just tonight, the Midnight Mormons or whatever they call themselves now, they were talking about is BYU woke, and then of course Quaku chimed in, and I think Quaku's a little bit of saying, "Man, we're sober woke. It's so cringe to say woke and stuff like that." And to me, a little bit of that level too is a bit being, well, I want to be the current guy. You know what I mean? Like you haven't dealt with the thing at all yet, but yeah, now maybe somebody's noticed. We can't act like noticing stuff is what boomers do, you know. And it's like, Quake, you're getting old now too. You're
I know.
You know, maybe cool guy constantly. Let's deal with the freaking thing instead of saying like, oh, I'm cool, I'm past this. Oh, yeah. But
maybe my deepest vanity personified is just Quaku. I think that's what it is. Maybe I feel like because I think he believes things just to be weird. He's like, here's why the Book of Mormon says reincarnation is real.
This is the new outrageous take to say, yeah, but is it really that big of a problem? You know, we're kind of past this. We dealt with it. Oh, is it really? Are the movies really woke? Yes, they're woke. Like just
absolutely
on a Helen Pluckrose way.
Yeah, that was absurd when they were trying to say that Barbie wasn't woke. I'm like, are you guys
Captain Marvel
retarded?
just came out this weekend is get woke, go broke is happening, but the problem is it's woke. Like none of those women could have romantic interests, and that's for woke reasons. You know. Here's Bill Real, who's red pill now. Bill Real is more red pill than Quaker. Bill Real says the difference between a romantic and a creeper stalker is attraction, and frankly, it is unfortunate for the unattractive. 50 Shades of Grey is romantic only because the guy is a billionaire. If he was living in a trailer, it would be a Criminal Minds episode. Incel talk, Bill Real. You're saying red pill truths, brother.
Here's the thing, though. Bill Real probably feels this to his core because he's probably, I don't know, he's so socially fucking weird that I feel like at some point he creeped out a woman. He's not like he's ugly or living in a trailer park. I mean, clearly he has a 140 IQ, but I feel like at one point he was probably accused of being a creeper, and he's like, "Oh, it's just because I'm ugly." Like, well, no, with you, it's probably that you're genuinely fucking weird.
Yeah, it's for sure. Jane Cobb says, "Why not just say exactly the problem is it's communist?" Yeah, that's what James Lindsay was advocating. Just call it race Marxism. He says red pill aren't incel folks. Yeah, I was just making a crack at because Bill Real would
he would lump them in together.
These ideas all kind of float around those worlds, and if he realized that he was playing with those ideas, that he would shun the idea and say, I didn't mean it that way or something. We pulled up the Silent Live episode and we got the episode pulled down forever ago. There's this sexual harassment video with Fred Armisen and Tom Brady. And it shows like the difference between the video of like what's sexual harassment and what is not sexual harassment. And it just shows Fred Armisen being a creepy guy and doing exactly nowhere near as bad, just looking at and saying hi to the women. And then Tom Brady coming in and he can like walk in his underwear or grab their breasts or whatever. And it's not sexual harassment.
Sorry, finish.
No, that's it.
Oh, I was taking it in a different direction. You can finish.
Oh, I was just going to say that's true. That's just true. Like the whole difference between harassment and not harassment is wanted or unwanted. But it is weird that we're in a world that can be criminalized or put jobs on the line and that sort of stuff nowadays. And you have less of a risk of it if you're handsome. Although nowadays, being handsome and all that stuff, that you might have them pin other stuff on you through lying nowadays. But what were you going to get at?
So they call it like the rule of 3 in literature, in writing, things like that. It's basically if you're describing something with adjectives, people feel a need to use 3 adjectives or they feel like they haven't used enough. Or that's how uncreative people feel creative, basically, is that they'll be like, she was rivetingly, gorgeously, beautifully wonderful or whatever. And you're like, okay, but most of those are redundant, that you just wanted to say 3 things to sound creative because you're not actually creative. If you're using several adjectives, then at least make them different enough that it makes sense that you used all of those in a context. And I feel like the wokies, when describing their enemies, have gone with the rule of just as many as you can, no matter how redundant they are, right? Because if you say something like, oh, I think that in order to be a female, in order to be a woman, you have to be a female. They don't just tell you that you're transphobic because that doesn't accurately go with the rule of infinity, because they'll have to also go, oh, you're transphobic, you're bigoted, you're racist, you're an incel, you're red pill, you're far right, you're Nazi, you're fascist, all of these things. Any of them they can throw in there. So that's sort of what the joke is getting at when you call them red pill and incel. Obviously, those aren't the same thing. But these dipshits always think that all of the bad things go together like that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wait, who killed that guy?
Oh, did I have that dude's on?
Yeah, you did. You did.
So this guy, I was gonna get. It says the first openly non-binary person to assume a judicial position in Mexico was found dead in their home Monday on the central Mexican city of Aguascalientes.
It was probably a hate crime.
Death threats because of their gender identity. Was it? It was a hate crime for sure, wasn't it?
It was definitely a hate crime.
For sure, definitely. Turns out it was his lover done killed him.
Wait a minute. That's got to be rare, right? That's got to be the exception to the rule. They honestly mistook this for what it really was, right?
Yep. That's what happened every time. We had that thing where they were saying around the end of Trump, like, Trump's presidency, Trump's America tripled the death of trans people. And you looked at every single one of the trans deaths, and it was all their lovers that killed them. Yeah. Like, so Trump made all their lovers kill them. Oh, goodness, it's gone. Did you watch that video of the poison in Nauvoo, that guy who was announcing himself that he was the one mighty and strong?
I don't think so.
I linked a video to it. Nuance.
Yeah.
This guy, he just came on. Steve Ellison showed it to me. He came on just YouTube saying, "I am the one mighty and strong." And, Nuance Ho covered it with grace. Just kidding. I mean, I don't know. I thought it was a little bit gauche because, like, this guy's obviously not well. He might kill himself and others for reals. But she was there cracking on it. And let's see. Come on.
Prophets who also proclaimed that they are the ones who are.
Warn them first.
He always sends truth out to lead people
like that
back to
video's deleted now, though.
righteousness if they will follow him. Servants assigned to deliver truth are bold, brash men with big hearts. Men that are happy to live out in the woods or in a cave. Servants assigned to deliver righteousness
Let's
are
watch
usually
her,
well educated.
let's watch her shorts on it because they're hilarious. Highlights.
Today I have begun to pour out my wrath upon that church and the Wasatch Front. Within 2 months, it will be desolate. Those that have mocked my servant Jesse will mourn, and the inhabitants of the earth will know that he has been sent by me to prepare the world for my return.
That just freezing.
My covenant people.
What are you
So this
doing?
guy's like being
And
psychotic.
get my people out now. This evacuation of our brothers and sisters is now the priority of all covenant believers.
Got it.
From Tremonton down to Nephi, living essentials need to be evacuated up to Boise. All of our properties will be protected. You will be able to return for personal items later.
All of your non-covenant believing family will be destroyed, but come back for your personal items. Those will be safe and intact. God would never destroy your scrapbook scissors.
There are only 3 men.
Wow. So I can't handle the. I get that it's probably easier editing wise. I can't handle the reaction like that where you're watching that much of the video and all you're doing, like you're trying to act like you're adding content even while the guy's talking. So you start going like nodding really exaggeratedly and pointing to things and going. It's always the okay symbol, which is white supremacist.
Yeah. Is this the same
Gates to an audience with your Savior, and only He will know if it is the ultimate sacrifice that you are making up unto Him.
The guy basically said, I
This
mean,
scrunchie was a gift from my late grandmother. It means the world to me. I wear it on my wrist and put my hair back in a ponytail. And even when I'm like flirty and have it down, I'm always thinking of my dead grandmother and how much she sacrificed. But what good will hair be in the great day of burning? Go ahead. Jesus, take it.
The Lord wants me to warn
Christ.
the world that I have.
So this, I don't know, like I make fun of all this stuff, but this guy might, I mean, it might be down on that stuff because this sounded like a suicide note. Like it was put up and he said he's going to die and other people were going to die around him and all that sorts of stuff, but he was there to make light of it and stuff, I guess. But I mean, maybe in a couple weeks or something, but maybe not possibly while he's on the spree right now, you know. But I don't know. What do I know? Do you want to see David Lee Roth sing in Spanish? I know it's what you've been waiting for all night.
No, but
What?
yeah, I totally do.
How could you not want to
I'm
see
just
that?
kidding. I'm disgustingly curious. If you had a picture of David Lee Roth's nutsack, I'd be like, yeah, show me.
I wonder if I'll get dinged about this. Like, can this? Do I have to pause it? Is he gonna ding me? Man, that's too long. Too long, too long, too long.
Is he
I think it's
singing it?
him.
I mean, he's rolling his R's, I guess.
Man, I miss the 80s.
Bien Domingo.
Puerto Loco. Crazy Port. Is that like supposed to be like Panama or something like that, but like a Mexican version?
I don't know.
That's what I keep wondering with it. Do you want to hear a
Yes.
the original dubbing of Child's Play Chucky in Spanish?
Oh God, yeah.
Oh, what am I doing? Where to go? Where to go? Puerto Loco. Done lost it. Here it is. Come on. Oh man.
Pendejo. A la verga, me vale verga, perro. Híjole a la verga, hijo de tu- A ver, hijo de la chingada, deja de estar viendo memes, pendejo. A la verga, me vale verga, perro. Híjole a la verga, hijo de tu-
Did they not have a woman?
That's so many swear words. A couple seconds. That one cracked me up. I thought this was funny by Shoe on Head. The news article came out. Survey says women failed to turn out for the Marvels.
Literally everyone failed to turn out for the Marvels.
Because ladies, we need to talk about the internalized misogyny of not consuming the latest slop farted out by the Disney Marvel conveyor belt. I'm disappointed in you. I mean, all those guys who like took such crap from those channels, like Tim Dillon was saying, is like it's now just so blatantly naked that anybody who ever used the wokeness stuff, they wanted to pretend it's like it was all truism, that it was everybody else that they were caring about, but it was really some sort of ulterior motive bullshit for themselves.
Because once you get people actually spewing your shit who actually kind of believe in it, like you're marketing the first Captain Marvel as something that's for women or whatever. It clearly wasn't supposed to be that in like a marketing sense. Obviously, your big name executives, they don't want just women to come, they want everybody to come, but you're marketing it in that way. And then you get Brie Larson out there thinking that they really mean the things that they're saying, and she's like, men don't watch this, and we're like, we don't want to. And now the second one, I mean, nobody's interested in it, but they're not interested in it for a lot of reasons. Honestly, I don't know that it's woke. I kind of doubt that it's all that woke.
Even all the people who kind of riff on the wokeness, like Nerdrotic and Critical Drinker and all that stuff, they said no, it actually seemed really stripped down. Like a bunch of scenes were missing. Like they went and quickly edited it out, whatever might have seemed woke. Like they said, like the story narrative seemed to jump. Like they edited serious parts out of it that made it make no sense.
Well, part of the problem is Miss Marvel is such a fucking dumb character. And like whoever's in charge of Marvel Comics right now has been fucking trying to artificially boost her for years. I remember being excited for that Avengers game that came out, or like when they were first releasing trailers on it. And then you find out the main character is Miss Marvel. You're like, what the fuck? Who is this? They're like, well, she has those lame Reed Richards powers. I'm like, oh, is she as smart as Reed Richards? No. Okay. Is she cool? Well, no, she's just a fangirl. It's like, oh, so she's the biggest. She's a fucking self-insert. That's all she is, and she's not. I don't know. She's stupid. I hear the actor's good though.
Yeah, one of them supposedly.
They said the actor for Miss Marvel is good. The young Indian girl.
Looks like Derek Chauvin's gonna be up for. This is funny because NBC News put it out. Former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin is making another attempt to overturn his federal civil rights conviction in the 2020 murder of George Floyd. Almost every single comment was like, yeah, he should get a retrial. Yeah, he should get a retrial. Like the comments just all the way down. I didn't see one
really
thing. Yeah, for sure. What is this one? This one's gross. Don't invite me to a night if we're not doing a pussy reveal.
Yeah. That's the dude
and that's
posted it. And that's what I was like, yeah, this is the incel to trans pipeline.
Yeah.
Because there've been like movies on this where the guy like swaps bodies with a girl on accident and then ends up at a slumber party or the guy pretends to be gay and ends up at a slumber party, and they all they end up like, let's do pillow fights, and oh, since you're gay, it's okay, we'll get naked and make out in front of you. They all have this fantasy, this insane fantasy.
Yeah. Here's Flip's pictures of the Beatles' house. That's George Harrison's house.
He lives in a shite hole.
Paul McCartney.
Oh, that's less of a shite hole. Oh, that's not a shite hole at all. That must be George Harrison's house, right? That's George Harrison's house because John Lennon would live. What? No, John Lennon wouldn't live in that nice of a house, and
George Harrison was in the dump. He didn't go to Ringo's. That's just like Flip. I don't think Flip totally respects Ringo, man.
Well, I don't know. I don't dislike him, but I agree with the cliche assumption that Ringo Starr is just the luckiest man in the world.
Actually, not telling tales out of Flip. We should have him talk about it when he gets here. But I also don't think he loves Paul that much either. Although I think Paul is good.
I have a soft spot for Paul. See, my favorite Beatle growing up was George Harrison, but that was just because I didn't know anything about him, and he died first, so he said the least amount of retarded things, and I wanted to be different. But now I think the more I grew up, the more I'm like, nah, it was McCartney. I think McCartney's my favorite Beatle.
Yeah, I think he's good. His stuff's been mostly crap since, but as a Beatle, it worked. Probably needed John to kind of reel him in from his like more gooey, sentimental side. But
good morning, Black successful CEO, big boss lady of her own billion-dollar company. Because on TV, no woman works under a man anymore. I got those numbers for you. I'm a woman. I'm a fucking woman. Got these numbers. Feminism, periods, shopping, dogs, coffee. I have sex with multiple men with strong, attractive jawlines without catching feelings because I own my own sexual energy. If men can do it, so can women. What is happening? Do not oppress me with your misogynistic questions. How did I oppress you, boss? You're a man in a female-dominated show. The only purpose you serve is to be misogynistic and be humiliated by women. Okay. Being a woman is the hardest thing you can do. Don't do this. Don't do that. Don't wear this. Smile more. Cat calling. Fuck you. Being a woman in today's age is like being in the Holocaust. Part 2. My body, my choice. Abortions. Fuck off. I'm going to leave these here. Women can do things. We can do things now. Masculine things. I built a car for some reason, and a house, and a building, just to show that women are capable. Cool. I played basketball one-on-one against special guest LeBron James just to show how equal women are to men. Why? I'm bisexual because the LGBTQ needs some kind of gayness in all of television and movies nowadays for reasons. That's pretty accurate. Yeah, it's pretty on point. Accept us! Accept us, please! Please accept women, accept us! I'm tired of pushing this women oppression agenda.
Maybe that's my favorite or my least favorite new woman trope is when they try to pretend that the woman is just as like sex crazed for casual sex as the man is, and
yeah, right.
She's like, "Oh, we have," because nobody actually thinks that's true.
I was talking with the guys in my band tonight this week, and one of them said, I said something along the lines of like women in general actually want relationships. They don't want just one night stands. And then, I was not in a bad way, but you just get this pushback. Like, I knew some girls who like wanted guys just to hook up with guys.
They're
And,
lying to you.
Yeah. And I said, he goes, well, but I guess they are in relationships now or whatever. But I said, the truth about that is they say, hey, I want to hook up and just have a one night stand. And then in the morning they say, what are your plans for Thanksgiving? Like that's what happens the next morning. It's never like, thanks, bye. Like, that's not how the world works.
Oh, you're still here?
Yeah.
They're not like a Phoebe Waller-Bridge character.
Yeah, it's the biggest lie ever sold. I like even like the concept of like Tinder or whatever starts up and everybody's like, everybody's just gonna hook up with everybody. And then it's like, no, the same old sexual dynamics played out there that played out everywhere across all time since forever. Maybe they will throw themselves a bit more at like high value men or whatever, but they're not throwing it at them to try to give it away for free. They're throwing it at them because they want to land the guy.
Oh man, I love it.
But now thanks to all the movies, I think part of the deal with the whole entire thing is like those guys all thought people thought that they could change the people. They didn't have to change for the people.
Yeah.
I saw somebody saying though that like when you have democracy or something like that, you only have two options. You have change and adjust towards the people, or change the people. And I think there's like little bits of success. Obviously, like we've seen them incept all sorts of bullshit ideas into people, but they can't really change people that much. Like, it's like they can change what people regurgitate out of their mouths, but they can't change how like they actually act.
Yeah. We can change how people want to act. And I brought it up before, but I remember really feeling in my bones that that little blurb at the beginning of Brave New World where Lenina, the female lead, is talking to her friend about how she's been on a date with the same guy twice. And she's trying to pretend that she doesn't obviously have a crush on this guy. And her friend's like kind of reverse slut shaming her and telling her like, "Wow, you need to like, oh, you're gonna go on a date with this guy." She's like, "No, I have plenty of casual sex. I have plenty of casual sex. Don't shame me." And that's I don't know. There's no part of Brave New World that's more prophetic than that part. I don't think where like we're trying to get women to pretend that they want to have casual sex and shame them for. I don't know. Just, we hate femininity so much in women.
Yeah. we don't hate if men do it. Well, let's see. I saw this.
I used to achieve something and somehow inhibiting my full potential. And that to experience my full potential, I have to get rid of all the structure. And the reality
becomes
is
liberationism. That the idea is that the essence of progress is liberation. It's and you very quickly learn
Back
that
to James Lindsay's post about like what all those different philosophies are, liberation from some sort of thing.
and that's what you learn very quickly in a marriage, that I want to be liberated from the constraints within the marriage. Like, well, you're going to open your door to some interesting things with that idea.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I've seen it in real marriages that someone gets the idea, oh, we're going to try polyamory. Oh, okay. Well, I'll study 2 years and you probably won't be together.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've been around polyamorous communities, through since my early mid 20s, right? And I'm not impressed. I'll just say that, right? I won't say that there's nobody who seems to be having a good time, but the closer I am to people who are in it, the less attractive it looks.
But now take your idea, and instead of, this is a critique of Jordan as well, to focus on the individual. And now think about, let's say, the family as a unit, and take that metaphor that you've just had and work that with the family, and then the family's up there, and work that with communities. work that intergenerationally. And suddenly you begin to realize that, that we are it's sort of fractaling up and down at the same time. And what you just put your finger on, which I think is exactly right. We're also doing this together.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't even know most of what we do. We don't know what we're doing in terms of theory or consciousness. We are running through programs that have been inherited, these first drafts that we've had. But then along the process, we're trying them out. But I think that dynamic that you just illustrated, I think is excellent. And it's an excellent illustration of this dynamic between, let's say, you could say progressivism versus conservative, but those aren't, it's not just that.
Yeah. But I think that's kind of one of the things that why you always see people when they feel like they get liberated from the religion or something like that, then they get the follow-up idea that they're going to get liberated from their marriage or something like that. But then they always like end up just right back in some other sort of like goofiness. That's like, were you liberated? Was there any liberation? Like, there's no liberation. Like, what are you talking about?
No, I remember having those thoughts like when I first left Mormonism, because I got married while Mormon and then pretty soon after that left. But I remember thinking in my most ex-Mormon phases, like, man, if only I could have known Mormonism was bullshit before I got married. Now I'm married and committed, so I can't do it. But I could have gone out there and just bagged so much poon or whatever. Like, that's probably some vast overconfidence in my game. But I don't think it's all that hard to get laid, honestly. But not for me, for anyone, I'm saying. But I thought of that in the time since then and thought, you know what? Nah. I'm glad things turned out the way that they did. I'm glad I didn't have a horror phase, and I don't know. I know a lot of people who do the horror phase or who try it even though they're married, because that's kind of the difference. Is I was bummed out about it because I was like, man, I could have got laid, but too bad I committed first. Oh well. And I was bummed about it. But some people are like, well, no, we'll make it work both ways. I can live both versions of a life. I can have a happy family and be a whore.
Well, there's some level in my life where I like thought about that too, because I mean, I know for sure when I was young in high school, I was whatever popular and all that stuff and had girls coming at me, and I, being the Mormon guy, pushed it all off. In fact, I showed you that thing just this week where some women were talking about, there was a whisper network going around that I'm like a guy who won't make a move on you at all if you that you could trust me for that sort of stuff. And I didn't even know where it came from. And some women were talking about that. But sometimes I think one of the only reasons why I can put my face, we don't, like I said, we don't advertise this out. I'm not that afraid. Maybe some of the stuff we talk about could become a problem with a job. But sometimes I think that one of the only reasons we can so blatantly shit on feminism and stuff is because we know we never did anything that was like gray area. You know what I mean? Like, I never did anything that was, and I'm not even shitting on guys who like did gray area, because I think maybe I would have been better if I had been, in some cases, the not aggressor, not like a bad aggressor, but being the aggressor instead of just being 100%. It's got to be her that does it. But because
I'm with you too. I was exactly that way. Like, I remember my girlfriend in high school basically had to tell me that she wanted to kiss me.
Totally that way.
Like, she had to hold my hand. I always thought that making the first move as the man was bad. Like, that was a shitty thing to do. That's probably wrong. You have to be in some ways aggressive. And I don't like saying that because it sounds shitty, but I know it's not actually shitty. I know actually pushing forward and actually like taking that risk and like reaching out to grab her hand when you're not sure if she likes you or not. Yeah, you'll get rejected sometimes, but see, I never got rejected ever. Not a single time ever did I get rejected by a girl. And that's not a brag. That's because I was a fucking coward with girls.
Yeah. I mean, I could put myself there too. Although sometimes I would even be like, it was so painfully obvious, and I still wouldn't, because like I insisted like they had to like start it first. But at the same time, like whatever that made me miss out on in the world. I honestly think that, because I don't think guys who had been aggressors are in any way bad, but I bet you some of them in their heads a little bit go like, did I kind of push that on that one girl? Did I kind of overdo it over there? Like maybe like they get in their brain, maybe I'm toxic, but I'm so confident that I never overstep my bounds in any of those areas that I think it helps free me up to talk shit on feminism and say, no, shut up. Like, I know I never once did this to some girl or woman or whatever. And I think most of my friends didn't either too, but maybe some of them like in their heads kind of go, well, I don't know, maybe I just grabbed that girl a bit too fast or something, you know what I mean? But because I know that I never had anything but over consent,
yeah,
I can talk shit on it without fear of some, but you'd have to see, because nowadays false claims and all that stuff could come out of the blue anyway. So what's it gonna matter? One last thing, Danny from
fuck.
What?
Oh, I thought you were talking about McClellan.
Nope. You did post. I didn't watch the one that you posted, but he got an award this week. We'll leave him alone.
That was the one where he claimed the immediate statement in that is the Bible has no authority. Like that's the first thing he says. He says everything that like an atheist would say, but then closes it with "I am not an atheist." And I was like, okay.
I am not an atheist. I'm a religious scholar. I am a scholar. I am a religious scholar. In case you
I think that we should deport all the Jews. Also, I'm not a Nazi.
Did you
Oh well, he said he's not.
see my PhDs on the walls? This is the Marxism has used the same words but a different dictionary put to a comedy.
Do you find yourself arguing with people more and more? Are you passionate about issues but can't seem to find your personal definition of terms in any dictionary? From Oxford University Press, the maker of the Oxford English Dictionary, and Random House Publisher, the company that brought you the hit Choose Your Own Adventure series of kids' books, comes the Choose Your Own Definition Dictionary. Just like our series of books that were created for kids aged 7 to 14, this new Choose Your Own Definition Dictionary is perfect for that adult in your life who's only as smart as a child. The way our dictionary works is quite ingenious. Beside the definition of every word, it says, see any other definition. This allows you to continue arguing with anybody without having to get bogged down or hampered by the actual definition of anything ever again. Can't agree on what a genocide is, or a man, or a woman, or a dog, or a mass shooting, or racism, sexism, free speech, apartheid, concentration camps. The list goes on and on and on. Makes a perfect gift for the postmodernists in your life or any college student or anyone that spends too much time online. Stop wasting your time with well-reasoned, coherent arguments and get yours today.
That poor angry liberal lady. I bet like by now she's like this trad wife with a few kids, and she's like, "Yep, that was my phase."
Yeah. I was thinking of that same lady. Like, I wonder where she is today. We probably look it up.
Probably interviewed by JonTron or some shit like that.
Yeah.
Jane Cobb says Dan McClellan is PC principal. Like, man, he totally is. He's right.
That's a good one. Yeah, I like that one. You should put it on. You should put that in like some sort of clip or something like that. Anyway, I don't have much more other stuff to click to unless you wanted to pull something or put it up. I might need to be walking the Charlie dog. But I left alone most of the Exmos this week. We picked on Big Will and Kara a little bit. And I left them alone.
Can leave ex-Mormonism and leave it alone, huh?
Yeah. And we didn't even talk. Well, I guess we talked about Midnight Mormons and Quaker and them a little bit. But it mostly left them alone. But I do think that I hit. Oh, wait. Here's just a couple little memes and then we'll close it out. Meme time. Meme time. And oh, this one's not got anything to do with anything. I just liked it. I mean, I guess we like language stuff. But this is a list of names that Japanese developers made that sounded like American names to them. Have you seen this?
No.
I like these. You got Sleeve McDykel. Onsun Sweemy. Daryl Archideld. Anatoly Smorin. Ray McSriff. I love these names. I want to.
Sleeve McDykel is my next name on here.
Glenn Allen Mixon. Mario McLewain. What the heck? McLewain. Raoul Chamberlain. Kevin Nogilny. Tony Smith.
That's amazing.
Bobson Dugnut. I love that one. Willie Dustis. It's so close to real words sometimes.
I know.
Jerome Gride. And a couple of them are real names. They got like a Scott and a Dean in the mic. Scott Dorky. Sean Furcote. Dean Wesley. Mike. That's like they knew the name Wesley, but they switched it for their R, right? We could probably like look at anyone. Wesley Folcott. Tluk. Mike Truck. Do we get Rortugal? Tim Sandaele, Carl Dandleton.
Cernandez.
They're even mixing some. And Bonzales. I love Bonzales. Todd Bonzales. That's a good
Sleeve McDykel. I fucking love it.
There it is. That's the narcissism of the trans world. Your soul made a mistake that doctors can fix.
Oh God.
Did I tell you this? Cleopatra and people trying to figure out.
I fucking love this smoke detector thing.
Oh man. We didn't talk about this dude.
Oh fuck yeah.
The guy who shot the climate protesters down in Panama. I guess we could have put it with the Panama song. Panama. Pew, 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 pew.
In the movie, he'll be played by Harrison Ford.
Yeah. Some people
Get
say
off
he looks
my
like
fucking lawn.
George Lucas.
Yeah, he does look like George Lucas.
Oh, I like that. I was gonna make that one.
That's awesome.
This one if somebody made it earnestly, I love it.
I know. I love the like boomer Christians trying to pretend
imagining
that
this
Trump
moment ever happened. Oh.
Like you could tell me that Trump and Melania don't even like each other and haven't even slept in the same house in years, and I'd be like, yeah, probably. I don't know.
No, totally. But at the same time, too, I'm sure Melania from the start was like, "Yeah, this is."
I know what this is. Like, I don't think this is going to be some faithful romantic marriage.
Yeah, she's not like, yeah, this wasn't what I expected. I wanted to be in love. Ayan Hirsi is a Christian now, and then somebody in the Normalizing Atheism page says atheists largely wouldn't platform me because of my poisonous views. So I thought, you know, who loves poisonous views? And he went to Christianity. Yeah, because I guess atheists aren't down with somebody who decries female genital mutilation. Good job, atheists. Yeah. Omni retiring to spend more time with his family.
Good for you.
It's a pack of rhinos. And I don't think there's much more than that. We already saw that one. Yep. That's about it. That's about all I got. I believe Axl Rose by a church. I post that in the Longhouse. I wonder what the story behind that is. Wagon Master. Yeah. Anybody know the 49th Street Galleria in Utah? Anyway, here's one. Before feminism, after. I'm a strong woman. I have sex with men because, like a man, I do it.
Before feminism, you're adorable. After feminism, you're voiced by Seth Rogen.
Oh yeah, he was the voice. Oops, I shouldn't show that one. You see that? I showed it for a split second. Some women in the ex-Mormon world said they're gonna, for the Trans Awareness Week, they were gonna raid the temples topless. Conspiracy theorists, world elites are part of a ritualistic cult. Realists, yeah, right. The elitists. And,
There's I can't find it, but I love that meme. It was like, remember that time that like we literally find them burning an effigy to Moloch, and they all just said, "Oh, we were just joking," and we just accepted that.
Yeah, it's totally true. Oh, I got one last one. This will be the last one. Oh, son of a gun. This doll looks like it's about to lecture me on my carbon footprint.
How dare you! You poisoned my dreams and my childhood.
Yeah, that's about it. That's about it this week, folks.
Oh, poor Greta.
That's about it. Flip will come back and we'll have him report on England and tell us all the jolly good old fun times about England. I'm sure we'll talk more about alcohol in England and why England's better for a while.
He's like, guys, did you know I almost died there, but universal health care exists, and they just saved me.
Yeah. Although he did go to like a bookshop and he said the whole thing was just 100% trans stuff.
Yeah, he had that great book that he sent us where it was like the title and the subtitle totally just contradicted each other. The title was like dealing with stupid piece of shit white people. It was white psychosis, the psychosis of whiteness. The subtitle was like me having to deal with racism. Like, you said a racist thing.
Yeah. So I'm, I guess, about wrapping up. I'm gonna go have to walk Charlie dog.
Well, you enjoy, sir.
Back into full blast next week. What's that?
I said you enjoy, sir.
Yeah, I sure will. Have blast. Go play Mario Wonder or something
Yeah.
good. Maybe
Hell yeah.
what's that one that?
I was gonna see if Alan Wake was there's a lot of games that are just free on PS5, so I was gonna go see if the first one was free.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, maybe I'll try to watch it.
Just get a PS5.
Yeah, well, I need to do that anyway. But I tried to once. But
Yeah.
yeah, I might have time coming up.
I get an Xbox so you can play Starfield.
What else on it?
It's funny because we know the PlayStation controllers so much better, because the problem with Xbox is, like, now that you're used to Switch with Mario Wonder and shit like that, the A and the B buttons are swapped, and that's such a pain in the ass, because anytime on Xbox it says to press A, you'll press B. And so anytime my wife and I started replaying the Halo games recently, and she's like, how do I jump? And I just tell her X, and she knows that it's A because that's the PlayStation. Like, press circle, she knows to press B. Hit R2, and she knows to press right trigger.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I don't know what the heck else is on the Xbox, but look at this. Look at this. This is suddenly posted right now.
If it comes down to pig dick Donald Trump and smoking Joe Biden, I'm sorry. I am sorry. Voting for pig dick Donald Trump is on the table. I'm sorry. I'm fucking sorry. I'll still call him slob dick Donald Trump, pig dick Donald Trump, and all that. But we need to get this whole fucking situation under control.
That's wild. People are starting to figure it out that maybe other people. No one said Trump's great. You just didn't stop and look around at the complete pieces of shit that were always running everything.
Yup.
That's all we ever asked for, is just notice how shitty the other ones always were. That's it. All right.
Shit.
Off to walk a Charlie puppy. We do it. Let's go.
We should start doing that harmonica thing that Adam Friended always does at the end of his stream. I'll get a harmonica.
Yeah, I'm good.
All right, well, you guys have fun.
All right, catch y'all later.
See ya.
Bye.